Welcome everyone to episode 85 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My
Wait, we're
name's Kevin.
starting.
I'm here with Doug and Owen, and today we're talking about The Substance. But first, as always, we can talk about what we watched this past week. Douglas, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so
Wait,
I watched I watched the movie Tetro and the movie Youth Without Youth, both directed by Francis Coppola
Mhm.
in the kind of late 2000s. Um really great pictures. Then I also watched The Execution of Joan of Arc and Joan of Arc, directed by Georges Melanier, which are both um, were released in 1898 and 1900 flat, respectively. Uh, but more importantly, I watched the Killer's Game and Subservience. Do you guys know about these movies?
I know about the Killer's Game. I don't think
Yeah,
I
so
know about
I know all
Subservience.
about the Megan Fox picture.
yeah.
Oh,
So
I do know this. Yes. Okay.
The
Okay.
Killer's Game, starring Dave Batista of WWE fame and Sofia Boutella of Argyle fame, let's say, of
I
the
feel like
Mummy
there's a better
fame,
poll you could have had
right,
there.
of the Viewing, that episode of the Guillermo del Toro
Isn't she?
show.
Isn't she in the Kingsman movie? Isn't she the one with like the
She's
blade on
the
her
lead
foot
in
in Kingsman?
Rebel Moon.
Oh, of course, yes, the lead in Rebel Moon.
She's in Climax as well.
Yeah, it's like,
She's like top build.
oh, she is top build. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
yeah, that's the JJ Perry picture. It's like fucking stupid, dumb, bad action movie bullshit. It's so funny. It's like Chad Stahelski is just a really talented filmmaker with such a specific vision. And he just surrounded himself with like other stunt guys that just are not talented filmmakers with specific visions. Um yeah, so that's The Killer's Game. I saw that in theaters, and then not in theaters. I saw this on VOD, PVOD, Subservience,
Oh,
starring Megan Fox and uh Michelle Marone. Do you know who Michelle Marone is?
I'm not sure
Of
I do. Was this a
three
straight to
six
VOD type of deal?
I believe it played in select theaters.
Yeah.
Um but Michelle
Oh.
Marone of
Is it?
365 Days fame. And
Ooh.
also,
Oh, this guy.
yes.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen him naked.
Yes. He's like a handsome dude. He's a handsome fellow.
Yeah.
Terrible actor. Kind of crazy. It's like kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
I
And
mean, you
this
don't really
movie's
have to be for those 365 days movies. I don't know if anybody's watching those for the acting.
a few words on the film Subservience with Megan Fox. I think that a producer maybe or somebody watched the film Megan, which was written and produced by James Wan, right? They watched that film Megan and were like, "Oh, interesting. What if we do this but we make the robot like a hot adult woman that you can have sex with?" And then that's how this movie happened. I really think that was the thought process by somebody in like some creative power here.
Wouldn't
Um
like a better comparison just be like Ex Machina then? Isn't that just like
No, because the setup is identical to the movie Megan, where they
oh,
go to a
okay.
store and then they buy a robot to for a purpose, and then it's
I
very,
see.
yeah.
Okay.
Because in Ex Machina, it's about a guy that flies out
Yeah, he
to,
like does it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Was that the last one?
Oh, was that the sorry for yeah, sure.
Okay. What did you watch, Owen?
All right. Short week for me. I watched The Legend of Boggy Creek.
There we go.
Fantastic movie from 1972, directed by Charles B. Pierce. He also made The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and The Victors, a kind of genre filmmaker from the 70s. But this is a kind of fake documentary, a documentary style drama about kind of the Sasquatch figure in Boggy Creek, and then you have people playing themselves, and it's a really fascinating like little documentary sort of thing. But it's not obviously real. But I'm kind of working on something right now, so I'm doing research on similar films.
Bro's
But I
always
really,
working on something.
I'm really, really like this movie a lot. Charles B. Pierce film, And then I watched 11x14, the James Benning film. Really love this one. It's funny because the kind of description of the film is talking about this lesbian couple, and while obviously they are included in the film and there are scenes like with them explicitly in the image, I was kind of expecting more narrative. It's funny for like a James Benning film. It's kind of very similar to the other stuff I've seen from him, and it makes sense in this filmography. But just like going into it, I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but maybe like a dialogue line or something. But no, it is very like, landscape James Benning, and I loved it because of that. But I don't know, did I watch anything else this week that wasn't like a random thing for school? Not really. I mean, I watched I watched a bunch of shorts, but in terms of like the full length features, that was just the two there.
Okay. I started with Blockers, the 2018 teen comedy. I believe when
Blockers.
Naubis was a guest on the pod, he said that I would like this movie. I think it was his recommendation that I had in mind when I watched it. It's funny. It was like a cute. I was like actually surprising. I just wanted to watch like a silly little comedy one night because I wasn't in the mood to focus much, and I put it on, and it was a good time. I watched or rewatched A Star Is Born because I for some reason have been talking about
Which
that a
one?
lot
Could you
recently.
attach a
The
year to that? A Star Is
Bradley
Born.
Cooper's A Star Is
Okay,
Born.
okay, okay, okay.
Um, yeah, I for some reason I've been talking about Bradley Cooper a lot recently and that movie a lot recently, and so I was just kind of like in the headspace. I was like, maybe I should finally rewatch it, and I was like under the impression that I'd finally rewatch it and be like, oh, this movie is actually amazing, and it's like half of an amazing movie. When you watch like the first hour of it, you're like, oh, this is just like the best thing ever, and then it kind of starts to fall apart a little bit. But it's still great. I do still really like it. I'm just maybe not in love with it. I kind of feel the same way I did about it already before the rewatch.
I need to watch this picture.
Yeah, I think you'd
Bradley
like it.
Cooper.
Bradley
Bradley
Cooper's
Cooper.
awesome in it, to be fair. That's
Oh,
the one
incredible.
kind of
Oh
the
my
one
god.
takeaway when you watch it is like, how the fuck did Rami Malek win a Oscar over this guy?
Yeah, that's the
Bradley
take
Cooper
I
is
keep
so
hearing
good in
about it,
it.
is that Bradley Cooper's acting
Yeah,
performance in it is kind of unreal.
yeah, that was the time, I think. I mean, he's like one of those guys, like similar to Aaliyah, where they talk about it a lot. He just like gets nominated for Oscars and never wins, and people are like, when are they going to give it to him? And like that was probably the one. I mean, he'll have another chance, of course. I don't
I
think he's
hope
going anywhere, but
I
uh,
hope he makes like 3 more movies that are like super fucking like, kind of crazy big like award stunts. And when he's literally 75 years old, he wins best director and nothing else. I hope that's what happened. I hope that's what his fucking awards career is like.
are you saying you like don't want him to win a Best Actor award?
No, I want him to go fucking insane. I want him to go
Okay,
insane.
I see. Yeah, that it's a possibility. I do think he's like one of those guys that's like very likely to just be nominated for every movie he directs. Like it seems like whatever he directs, the awards bodies are just gonna
Yeah, I mean,
recognize
it's gonna
it.
be such a big popular film, and his performance is always gonna be kind of the lead, unless he is not acting in one of his
Acting in it.
films.
That's the thing. Because
Yeah.
he's a movie star. Obviously, he's not Tom Cruise or even Leo, but he's up there. Like he's recognizable. He's like a Joaquin Phoenix, more famous than Joaquin Phoenix, even like recognizable. Like he's a movie star.
Yeah.
So
And then similar to Doug, I did some Megalopolis prep. I don't think I'm gonna squeeze in any more movies before it comes out because we see it in a couple days now. But I
damn, when you put
wanted
it
to
like that,
yeah, but I wanted to watch One from the Heart because that seemed like the biggest omission for me so far. It's like in terms of like what's gonna be the closest to Megalopolis, I guess. It seemed like if I had to watch one more movie of his that I hadn't seen, it would be One from the Heart. So that's the one that I landed on, and I really liked it. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to talk about like some of his other movies when we talk about Megalopolis, so I don't have to do a whole thing on it. But I'm glad that I decided to watch it before Megalopolis because there's some other ones that I'll probably just follow up Megalopolis with. Um,
you liked it a lot though.
yeah, I give it 4 stars. I was a big fan. it's like a lovely movie to look at, and I don't necessarily care a whole lot about the couple at the center of it, but I also like that doesn't like really matter, and that's kind of like the point, so it's fine. Like it's not really, I'm not gonna spoil the ending. I guess it's an old movie, but like I did really like the ending, and so like the me not caring about the couple doesn't really mean anything. I'm sure I would like it more and more if I watched it again.
That
But that's a
movie
conversation for another time.
is so good.
Yeah, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
And then I followed it up with what some are calling the best romance of the year. It Ends With Us, the sleeper
Hmm.
hit of the summer, the Colleen Hoover adaptation. I
Yeah, calling it a sleeper hit is a little disingenuous. Um,
Sure, it's a Colleen Hoover adaptation. It was
yeah,
gonna
it's
be a
kind of
hit,
just a
but
hit.
I
It
think
made like
nobody
$1
really.
billion.
Yeah, but I just think it was hard to measure how much money it was gonna make. It was hard to
I
tell
mean, you,
how
you
big
measure it in dollars.
after it came out. Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's not what I'm referring
You
to.
measure it with a ruler.
Um,
Well,
it's like actually not the worst movie ever.
high praise.
It's not. I don't
No,
know. The people.
put that bitch on the fucking on the Blu-ray when it comes out, bro. Actually, not the worst movie ever. Kevin
It's not though.
Nikos.
No, but it's like people were like, I don't know, people are being so annoying about it, and it's like I get it, but it's not like the worst movie in the world.
Yeah,
It does
be
like
nice to the Colleen Hoover slot machine.
it does like kind of turn into the worst movie ever toward the end. Like it toward the end, you're like I
Put that on the Blu-ray cover too. It kind of turns into the worst movie ever at the end.
it's just like I just wanted to watch it. It's been out for weeks now. It was like I was gonna watch it when it first like initially came out, and the theaters were like packed with white women in their 40s or whatever. Whoever watches It Ends With Us. But I was just like, I'll let it die down, and it's still playing in theaters. So I went to see it with my girlfriend in a theater of like 4 people, so I didn't have to worry about like all the people going nuts over It Ends With Us. But I was like genuinely having a good time for like an hour, and then the movie kept going for several more hours, 4 or 5. Who's to say? It goes on for a while. And then I watched Doctor Strangelove, one of the last Kubricks I have to watch. I know Owen doesn't really like this movie. This is like
It's
obviously
been a while though.
it's just like a me movie though. It's like a
No,
screenwriter
yeah. Oh,
movie, and it's
100%. 100%. 100%.
like a screenwriter movie, and it's like a guy who finds political satire funny movie. Like it's just like made for yeah, I had a great time. Obviously, it's
I
kind of
just
a given.
I looked up Doctor Strangle.
And then finally yesterday I watched a movie that is like a new release that I never expected us to cover on the podcast, but probably could come up during award season, which is His Three Daughters. There's like a lot of acting awards speculation being floated about all three of the leads, or I guess they would be running all in supporting. I don't really know how that's going to work. We'll figure that out if it comes to it when award season comes around. It's like good acting, it kind of feels like a play. So if you're one of those people who hates watching movies that feel like a play, then you're probably not going to be a big fan. But it's like nice enough. I don't love it. People are like kind of raving about it. It's like sweet. It takes a while for me to get invested. I was like kind of not into it, and then like by the end, I was tearing up a bit. But it's definitely not like the emotional gut punch that it seems like a lot of like that wasn't my reaction. It seems like that's the general reaction. I still do think that the acting is certainly great, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of those three leads get their nominations. But yeah, it's not a podcast movie. I don't know how long the conversation about that movie would be, so uh figured I'd just watch it on my own. Anyway, that brings us to The Substance, which is a podcast movie, because there's much to talk about, unlike the movie I was just talking about. Um,
The Substance.
The Substance. Do we want to do? Okay, so the movie, I'm sure people have seen how people have talked about the movie online already. So do we want to just get like the spoiler thing out of the way first, because it's like a graphic movie that like I don't know, like people are like, you know what I mean? It's like people might not want it because it's like all like shocking and gory and blah blah blah, and I don't know if people want to
Are you
know,
saying
like,
we gotta
what-
like start talking? What do you mean?
I just want to like
put.
I want to just like put the spoiler warning up front because I feel like the conversation is going to be kind of
Oh,
all
I
over the
mean, sure.
place, you know, like it's so I feel like
I
just
mean-
like don't listen if you haven't watched the movie, right?
Or if you care.
If you
Not
care,
bad.
I
Or
will
if you
say this
care,
though.
sure.
I don't think that hearing. I don't think that the movie will be ruined if you know how the plot unravels and ends.
Yeah, it's kind of like hinted at in the trailer, but you know what I mean. I just meant to like the lengths that the movie goes to. I think the idea is that it's supposed to shock people, and I don't want to ruin that for somebody who actually cares. But I imagine if you're listening to this,
If you
you-
care that much, you probably
Yeah.
are going to have seen it before the Tuesday that this episode releases.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Anyway, we're gonna spoil the movie.
Yeah.
Set up. Anybody want to explain what the movie is about?
Yeah. I got
Okay.
this. Oh, I got this. Okay.
Yeah, give us the brief.
So
Keep it
the
brief.
Substance, written and directed by
Don't say her
Coraline.
name. You're gonna no, because you already messed up her name.
Oh, Coralie.
Yeah, it's just you just called her Coraline already. You didn't
I
even
did
get
call
to
her
the last name
Coraline.
part.
I misread it. Coralie Fargay.
That's not how you say it.
How do you say it? How do you say it?
Listen, I didn't look it up
How do
before
you-
this, but I didn't
You
try to
know-
butcher it though. Is the problem? I didn't look
Sorry.
up the pronunciation, but I didn't.
I'm just trying to
try
give
it.
my respect dues.
Okay. Anyway, the movie.
Yeah, so
what's
the
plot of the movie then?
Substance is a film about Demi Moore as an aging actress, as an aging actress, and she her show, her like workout show,
Aerobics, yeah. It's
yeah,
like
her
the fucking-
aerobics.
It was like a big thing in the 90s, even though this
Yeah.
movie probably doesn't take place in the 90s, but that's a conversation for later.
It kind of doesn't take place in the real world,
Yeah.
which is fine. But it gets canceled by Dennis Quaid because she's too old. Basically, is the idea is that she's too old, and
Yeah,
Dennis Quaid.
she's turning 50.
Yes.
That's like they say it in the movie that she's turning 50, and then once you turn 50, you're aged out. He said
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah, done.
So Dennis Quaid wants to is looking for a younger woman to start an aerobic show around her. So Demi Moore is like depressed and like kind of struggling with this idea of aging and growing old, and she is introduced by means to the titular substance, which is like a black market drug, where it's kind of complicated. The whole thing's a little complicated, but the idea is
overview.
yeah, you
Abstract.
take the drug once, and then a clone of you emerges out of you,
Yeah,
Out of your
as-
back.
out of your back.
Like
yeah.
Pops out of
Crawls
you.
out of you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like an
crazy
alien.
image.
It's like a fucking chest burster kind of thing.
Yeah.
going
It's
on.
like a reverse chest burster. They kind of do that in like imagine Covenant,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
like it's an adult human instead of a baby alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the substance, and this, it's like it's marketed to her as this, like, if you're old, like, we can make you young and beautiful again, you know, we could give this back, we can give back youth back to you. So she
Mhm.
takes it, and Margaret Qualley bursts out of her back, and there's like gremlin rules kind of, in a sense, where
Yeah.
it's you have to
Yeah.
follow them, or
You
bad
have to
things
switch
happen.
every 7 days. Switch
Mhm.
bodies, that is. She has to go back to her normal self every 7 days and spend 7 days in that body and then go back into Margaret Qualley's body.
Yeah, that's like the big rule. The two big rules that, like, in the black market instructions that come with
Yeah.
the drugs are you have to switch back between
gotta
bodies
feed
every
it.
7 days without exception, and you have to remember that you guys are the same person. You're one.
Yeah.
It's like you guys aren't
And
different
you have
people.
to
Yeah.
you have to feed the one that is unconscious.
Yeah, there's these
Yes.
really nice
So that it stays
branded
alive.
packages
Yeah.
with like the food. It's like
It
this is your
looks
food
like
for one day. This is your food. It's all.
it's like a little Go-Gurt thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is such a okay. We'll
Okay.
have real criticism of the movie, but something that while watching it that I was annoyed by was why you should have to hang it up. It should like be a drip feed that you hang up. How is she sucking it
Oh,
in?
like yeah, I
Yeah,
see. Like the
you know
body is
what I
just
mean?
naturally
Yeah,
like
the body's
like
just
the tube.
sucking-
It just goes through the tube.
It should be like an IV that you have. Like, it should be like a
Oh,
drip thing.
we're already so locked into the CinemaSins mode.
I
This
know.
movie.
Like, but it's like,
No,
but
it
am
is true though.
you
I
know
didn't
what I
even think
write?
about
Like,
that, but that is a little
She's
bit
like,
silly.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, she is like
just
sucking
it just
the food.
naturally
Her
yeah, the
body is
body's just
is.
like sucking in it, and it's like
no,
It
it's
is
like
like
it's like absorbing it, like it's like a fucking
yeah,
like
the
like a
body is
parasite.
kind of like almost not totally unconscious though, because like you kind of like hear it breathing sometimes, but I don't know if that's just it sucking the food. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just that it's sucking the food,
Yeah, that
well,
but
it's
must
like you
be
can kind of
breathing
like
true.
because
hear
it's
it.
not dead.
No, I
It's
know,
just
Yeah,
but
like
not like
sleeping.
breathing, but
It's
it's
like in a
like
coma.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But
it's like
it's like
sucking noises though.
yeah,
Yeah. But just to finish out like the general idea here, home stretch. So, Demi Moore has this Margaret Qualley, ridiculously beautiful woman, young woman, that she is now has like this avatar in that she's using to become, presumably as rich and famous as she was when she was young, I think is kind
yeah,
of the implication, like reliving these glory days.
yeah, like becoming
And
a star again.
she steps over the line, and then bad stuff happens, and there's
Yeah,
David Lynch references, and then
right.
it kind of crescendos into something like ridiculousness by the end of it, and that's the
Yeah,
movie.
and we'll get to that. That's a good summary though. Yeah. Um, we'll just get out of the way that like none of us really liked the
None of us like
movie.
it. It has a
Uh,
4.1 average on Letterboxd right now, and like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and
yeah,
none of us like it.
people are really liking it, and none of us
People
do. Which
people that can thought this was like a dark horse throwing the palm door when it got screened.
I don't want to talk about Can yet because when I get to how much I don't like the screenplay, I want to talk about Can. But so we're gonna circle
Yeah,
back to
it
that.
like opens
Um,
with that.
I wanted to ask if we could talk about the stuff we like first, just to get it out of the way, because it's going to be a pretty criticism heavy podcast, and we're going to like kind of
Unfortunately,
unfortunately talk about a lot of things that annoy us. So I wanted to ask if there's like some obvious like bright spots in the movie. I think we could probably all agree on the performances. Yeah, I don't think any of us really dislike any of them.
yeah, no, I think Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley like show up to play. They
Yeah,
they really they kind of lock in and do their best,
I
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
really
like that Demi
like
Moore is like this committed.
uh
yeah,
the Demi Moore section that's really fun is like when she becomes like the
the
witch from
evil
Snow
hag.
White and
Yeah,
she's like all like evil and stuff. Like that was like I really kind of liked that part, and I wish they went in like a stronger direction because I thought that there was something interesting there where like she's like this like old lady, and it would be interesting. I don't know. I want there was a lot of there's a lot of ideas and there's a lot of things getting thrown around here. Doesn't really work, but there are a lot of like strong ideas somewhere thrown around. And that was one of them when she kind of was like this like evil witch. I really like that as like a visual concept.
there's this one shot of Demi Moore in it's kind of like a motif throughout the film, I think, of her in the shower, and there's this one shot of her in the shower where the camera, I guess it like pans back, and it reveals that the shower is just like an infinite corridor, with like no entrance or exit, and I thought that was a nice shot. I like that.
Yeah, that's the one shot.
I like it's kind of silly, but I do like the fact that like she has this big window and then the billboard is just like right outside. Like it's so goofy and so ridiculous, but I do like billboards and I like the framing of that and that kind of is a visual idea. It's ridiculous, but I think like in the kind of tone of the film, the idea of just like this big billboard and where she sees like the other half like all the time I think is really fun.
Yeah,
There's some pretty I want to say like there's a couple references to filmmakers that everyone's kind of noticed. Specifically, Kubrick and Lynch are
Yeah.
filmmakers that there's like
Were like
pretty,
very obvious references
yeah,
too.
and I like some of the Kubrick references. There's like these shots of a really long hallways, like these really like
Yeah,
long hallway shots with a pretty wide lens, photographed with a pretty wide lens that Kubrick
yeah,
is kind of like famous for using, and Yorgos uses a lot in his films too, also as like a Kubrick callback. And I like some of that stuff.
yeah,
There's also Dennis Quaid. We have not uttered Mr. Ronald Reagan himself. We have not uttered his name yet,
yeah. We
but
have.
there's
He's definitely brought up.
there's like a shot of where his whole head is taking up the entire screen, and he's just munching down on some fucking
Oh
Yeah.
shrimp, and
yeah,
it's
no,
disgusting.
it's so gross.
That is kind of cool. I was like, that's an interesting decision.
Well,
But
I
that happens
was
so early in the movie.
he had like there was one shot of his like mouth, and it was very interesting. I didn't know I was like interested on the decisions, and I don't know. I'd be interested to see the director talk about those really close ups of him like eating the food. Because food is obviously like a big. There's a lot of food in this movie.
Yeah, there
We'll get
is a lot of
we'll
food in
get
this
into
movie.
that, but there is a lot of food, and that is like kind of the start of that is when he's eating, and it's very gross close ups.
Yeah.
Um, I like, I do, I do like the body horror stuff. Like it, like in terms of just like how it looks. Like there's some. It just the effects are good. Like it just looks cool.
Yeah,
And
shout out to the like, practical effects department.
yeah, and
Yeah.
oh, you don't like it?
No, well, so I was gonna say like I like it, like when I was saying like when she's like the witch and her finger is getting weird, and like even like the chicken bone scene, like I don't know, those are fun. I When it goes like full like kind of
When she
like
turns into a monster at the end,
yeah,
like
I was like I didn't like
what is like
that.
the Elephant Man on fucking
Exactly. It's like
steroids?
super Lynch. And that was maybe why it like kind of didn't work for me because it was like, all right, this is we're doing it. We're going full bozo mode, but it's just like very clearly a Lynch like
Full
thing.
bozo mode.
And it's like, all right, if you're going to do this like crazy thing, like I want it to be like something like that like really is new or like something that I kind of liked it when she was like this ball like creature, but the
Yeah.
final creature was super.
Like the stage before that where she's like
Well, it's just Demi
limping,
Moore.
like bent over
It's
and
not like
like
because
and
well,
yeah,
she like does it again. Like she like built another.
right.
She built another
Spoilers.
bitch. Like it's
That's
like
what the movie ends.
it's like, but no, like when Demi Moore is like really like fucked up and bald. Like I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's still not like that like weird like witch hag thing, and she's like really gross. But like the Lynch like monster at the end with like the whole Carrie blood scene, I was like, this is feels very referential and like where I was like, I don't know. I was wishing it went stronger in like some direction that was like its own.
I'll zag a little bit. Final thing that I liked, um, quite a bit. The Carrie blood scene at the this is like the last thing that
Yeah.
happens in the whole movie is kind of this Carrie blood scene, and I like it because I think that it works. I believe that it really works for some people, and I think that I see the vision for it, where it's this idea of being a woman, right, that lives in this world or the real world that just like that's alive and has to live under these like circumstances with all these feelings and all this pressure, right? And it's like all of this build up anger and it's just releasing. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like
No, I think as like I mean Carrie is incredible. I think the idea of that, like the blood just like splattering everywhere, is super amazing. And I think it works as like this like bozo final send off, like everything like going crazy. I just didn't like the monster look, like that
yeah.
look. So like if you like reworked that, the whole look of that character, that kind of creature at the end, I don't know which way you would have done it, but like I think the whole blood stuff that was really cool. And like kind of everyone in like the audience getting like kind of just destroyed. They're kind of I thought they were really funny. Where like they were like say like some stupid like one liner and be like they were like screaming. I don't know. It was very like ridiculous, and I thought it worked. But I didn't care for the kind of practicals on the creature there.
Yeah. I'll say final thing I liked is that I mean, listen, I'm gonna talk about how I think a lot of the things in the movie are dumb. Uh, that is like for many people who like the movie a feature, and even though it's not the movie that I wanted it to be, I got like a good laugh out of it. Like especially during the second half, I was laughing like pretty often. Like I thought, I mean, like when the body horror really gets as extreme as it gets, I thought it was funny. It kind of leads into one of my issues because I kind of just like sadly went into this movie expecting it very hard to be one thing because of how people were talking about it on the internet, and I didn't realize that it was going to be like so funny and that the body horror wasn't really going to be like horrific, at least in my opinion, but we'll get there. But like I had a good laugh. Like I was laughing quite a bit. I thought it was genuinely like pretty funny for a good chunk of that second half, even if I
I've heard
was
some
not,
other
you
people
know,
say this. I can't say
say
I agree.
that it's which part.
That they find it really funny.
Okay. Oh, you're saying you just didn't laugh at all.
Yeah, no, that's what I.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I thought there was like some part, and maybe it was just because like it's listen, my theater wasn't like packed or anything, but the people who were there were surprisingly all having a really good time. I say surprising, but it seems like everybody's really liking the movie. It's just like when you look at the crowd of people that you're sharing the theater with, and then you see their reactions to it, it's like kind of shocking to see like, you know, lots of like older adults, like older
Yeah,
couples,
where are
like
all these
watching,
old
like lots of
people
like older
trying
couples
this
watching this
movie?
movie and then just having like the time of their life.
Where
I don't
are
really know
these?
like that's generally the kind of crowd that you would think hates like a gross
Well, you
out
know
like
what it
body
is?
horror movie, but
You know what it is? It's fucking Dennis Quaid.
I don't know if that's
They
it.
they did the Ronald
I don't
Reagan
know if that's
double
it.
feature,
You think they
and,
just saw Reagan the day
and now they're
before
like,
and now they're
it's a
watching
it's a
this?
fucking Quaid Saturday, and we're going boom boom,
Um,
and then
It's
they
that
found their
it's
new two favorite movies.
they
yeah.
saw that it won best screenplay at the Cannes Film
Exactly.
Festival.
They were
Yeah.
like,
and they were
my
like,
man Dennis Quaid,
Yeah.
best screenplay. I
No,
love
but you know what
screenplays
I
and
mean. It's like
Reagan. That's me, man. I love screenplays and Reagan, and that's you know that's just
there was a nice
that's
there was
what
a
I'm
nice
going for.
atmosphere in there. Like it was like people I wasn't expecting to get a laugh out of it, getting a
Yeah,
real
new
laugh out
smells
of
in
it, and
there.
like kind of that, you know,
smells in there. Yeah, my theater
the
smelled like
laughter
pee.
was like, okay, well that might be a you problem, but
I mean, yeah, it's not like you were there. What do you mean?
I meant like never mind. We can start to
Yeah,
talk
let's
about the
break this
rest.
down. Let's
Yeah,
break it down. We're the three most qualified human beings on the planet to fucking dissect and criticize this movie called The Substance.
yeah. I'll say I don't feel
Yeah.
very smart talking about the movie. You know.
I do, but I think I just always I just always feel
Mike just
smart.
always feels so
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
And
I
intelligent.
so
Listen, I'm just saying I'm not gonna act like an expert. I just because I think the problem
I
is
mean,
that
yeah, I've
so
never
much.
taken it myself, though.
Okay.
would you take The Substance?
That is the
No.
question.
Fuck no.
Well, I'm
I
not
don't think
old.
I don't think I'm really gonna care much about what I look like when I'm old, to be honest.
Dude, I think like I honestly there's like literally zero downside.
Well, okay.
Well-
Here's what I will say. I don't think there's zero downside. What I will
No,
say,
because it's like here's the thing: you could just like be the young person for a little bit, and if like it's like oh, it's too much work to switch back and
You just
forth, or too
cancel
much to
it.
juggle.
Yeah.
It's not even just cancel it; just switch back and forget about it, bro. Throw it in the
right.
dumpster.
Well, you would be, yeah, and the body seemed to heal really quick as well. By the way, like the stitches on the
like-
back seem to like fix themselves up like over the course of the movie, which is not that long of a time. It feels like that would take longer, but anyway, the thing that would convince me maybe is just the idea of like a young active body and less of like the beauty standards around it. Probably if I were going to take the substance,
You
because
just
so
go
much of
play basketball.
that's what I'm
with your
saying, because so
fucking-
much of what I like to do is active, like basketball, hiking, and
Well,
stuff. And it's like if I'm a 60-year-old
here's
man
the
and I
thing.
can't hike anymore and I can't play basketball, then you might convince me to take the substance just so I could like
I
do
think
things that I love.
I think
again.
it's more for maybe us. It's a more interesting concept if like the parameters are a little different, because for the movie that this is about is like more like it's like just a beautiful younger person. But if you can like genetically like make anything you want,
You're saying I could make myself LeBron James. and
exactly,
go
like if you
try
could be
it,
like
go
6'6"
try out for
and
the
like
Lakers.
dunking and like going crazy, you would do it if you could like be like fucking Michael Jordan and like cocking it back.
Okay, but it really depends on where I'm at in life. Because the thing is like if I'm like a depressed 60-year-old man, then sure I'll go be LeBron James. But if I'm like content by the time I'm 60, then I don't think I'm
No,
gonna
but
want
what
to
about
go.
right now?
I think my NBA dreams will have passed by the time I'm like
No,
older.
but like
and-
tomorrow, like if tomorrow you could birth LeBron from your back.
I don't know if I would do that either. I feel too young to take risks right now.
It's not a risk.
No, well, it isn't a risk. I guess that's true.
It's not a risk if you
Actually,
just come
we
home
I'm
don't
scared that
know.
my
The thing
frail
is-
body.
the thing
I'm
is you
scared that
can
my
only
frail body
play-
and bones will not
You can only
survive.
play
giving
every
birth
other
to the-
week. You might
to the
miss
substance
some
baby.
games. You might be a little load management player. I don't know. It's
No, but Owen, how do you think I would handle LeBron James coming out of me in full form? I don't. Demi Moore's back survives. I don't know if mine would.
You
Like,
would you would like
I'm
be
I'm a
crippled?
thin 24-year-old boy, you know? Like if a
All
6'8" LeBron James were to come out of me,
Okay,
I
maybe
don't
like
know.
Derrick Rose,
How
something
about
like a
this?
little
How about
smaller.
this?
I don't know.
What about this? Would you take the
Spud
substance?
Webb.
Would you take the substance if it was just Margaret Qualley that came out of your back?
No.
And that's
Why-
Yeah, probably.
Why would I just want to be like a no? If I can't play basketball, there's no purpose. I don't. What
women
other?
can't play basketball? Interesting.
No. Okay. Oh,
What
come
if it
on.
was Caitlin Clark?
She's a
that came out
fucking
of your
she's a
back?
fucking like a TV aerobics instructor in the movie. That's what
but
I thought you
Caitlin
were
Clark-
referring
Caitlin
to.
Clark's
not-
a good. Caitlin Clark's a good point.
Sure, if I could birth Caitlin Clark and I could if the fucking greatest rookie in WNBA history spawned out of my back, then yeah, I would probably.
Yeah, I
be
mean
okay with
that's a
that.
deal. I
When
feel like
Doug-
that's a
When
huge
Doug
deal.
said Margaret Qualley, I assumed he was talking about the character, not like not just, you know.
I don't know, dude. You could be in the next Yorgos film.
Listen, Brady, you give me a drug that turns me into a beautiful woman. It's like I'm not gonna say no. What are we talking about?
We're two different people here, though, Douglas. You know what I mean? It's like that makes sense for you. Like
I'm
I
putting my
understand.
fucking substance hat like it's like a draft cap when that happens, dude. Fucking sign me up, dude. I'm going to the league.
Why don't you wear that for the whole podcast? Why didn't you?
Well, he doesn't want to say bad things about it while he's wearing it.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's true. No, I didn't.
No,
think
sorry,
about
I
it.
just
Okay,
did
let's
that for
start. Let's
the
start
bit.
saying
That
bad
was for
things
the
about
bit.
it then.
Yeah,
Do
this
we want
doesn't make any sense. Do you want to start
Oh, okay.
there?
Sure, we can start there. Yeah, I didn't know where you wanted to start, but
Well, that's so okay. We talked a little bit about this off camera, but I was confused. So the movie, we obviously like talked a little bit about it, but so like Margaret Qualley comes out of her back, and you immediately like shift POVs. You're like in like Margaret Qualley yourself, and you
Right,
are like
yeah.
looking at Demi Moore's back, and the whole thing is like you're like the same. It's like, you know, so I'm kind of confused. I'm like, whose consciousness is who, and like who's in control? What's the whole deal? Because Demi Moore is just dead, or like she's not dead, but she's like not
she's
doing
just, like,
anything.
on the ground.
So
passed out.
I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, blah blah blah. And then Margaret Qualley is doing all her things, and then they switch, but then there seems to be like this like internal conflict that's going on that makes them seem separate, but then they're like the same, and it never really like totally like it has a lot of like weird rules and things, but it never totally makes a lot of sense. I understand that they are like swapping who's in control, but it feels like they're like, because it kind of does that egg thing where the egg splits, right?
Mhm.
Yes, and then there's
And
a
it
better
feels
egg.
like you chopped the brain gets like chopped in half, and then it becomes there's two brains, and one brain just takes a nap for a week, and then the other
Yeah.
one's just chilling around, and the other one's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But they're the same at the same time, but they're
Right.
not like one. They're like the same, but they're not one.
So let me offer this to you,
Yes.
and this is just an idea. This is just an idea.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps
Mhm.
the person who wrote the Cannes Best Screenplay Award-winning script
Yeah.
did not put much thought into the question that you're asking. It's just an idea.
I think. Okay, here's let me.
But it's like
play
the
devil's
main kind
advocate.
of-
I'll play
it's
devil's
the main-
advocate here.
Okay,
No,
here
you
we go,
can,
here we
because
go,
I
here we go.
think there's something to play devil's advocate for.
Put the
I
hat on.
think
Put the hat
maybe
on.
there's like
Okay.
yeah. Well, what if I just had the hat and it's like
It's just a hat.
when
That'd
all
be
into one
sick.
I got the hat.
Yeah.
So I'll play devil's advocate here and
Yeah.
say that maybe she did put thought into it, right?
Yeah.
And
Who
the
wrote it?
thought was that it's like the specific details and the internal logic of the film
Okay, the director.
are not only unessential, but it's
Yeah.
like you could imbue your own internal logic to it and
Sure.
figure it out as the viewer if you really wanted
Yes.
to.
No, it
Which-
does feel like when Oz Perkins, it kind of feels like the long legs thing where Oz Perkins was like, I don't give a fuck about any of this bullshit. He was like,
Yeah, but he was
like,
talking about the devil, and his
Yeah,
whole movie
no,
is about the devil. Like,
No,
so
I
he's
know.
an
It's a little
idiot.
bit.
No,
Sorry,
I know.
I can't say
No,
that on the podcast.
but I'm saying like it feel I don't like we don't like long I don't mean Doug don't like long legs, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying it feels similar to that approach of being like rules and logic, and a lot of this I don't even care about aerobics. You know, it's like fucking bullshit. I don't care about that stuff. And it like I'm not gonna like it's like logic isn't really the be all end all. it just was confusing for me watching the movie. But
So
I kind of understood at the end, but it a little bit more. I guess it like as it goes by, you're like, okay, I get what they're going with, but I just like it is like a little like what's going on here, and they never really like. And I don't need like full explanation. It just doesn't feel very fleshed out in terms of the ideas of like what's going on.
More devil's advocate here. What's going on in Lost Highway?
Sure,
How did that guy get in his house?
but it does feel a little like, hey, Lynch was confusing. I can be confusing,
Yeah,
but it's like Lynch. But it feels when you're watching a Lynch movie, it's like you feel in control, right? It's like it's confusing, but it's like I'm
Yeah.
on the road. I'm on the road, right? I'm on the road, and you're driving here, and here I'm like,
Yeah.
you lost me, right?
The thing about Lynch is he didn't think it out. He meditated it out, and it makes sense in another dimension.
Yeah, it makes
So, like,
sense
this-
to somebody, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know
Like,
if this makes sense to anyone, really.
yeah.
I think it makes sense to a lot of people actually, but
No, but like in
but
ways.
just like yeah, sure, in ways, but
But I don't think the logic stuff is. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So, okay, but let's say like there was some thought put into this because throughout the fucking entire movie, the whole screen flashes with "Remember, you are one."
yes.
You
Oh
are the
well,
Matrix.
that's
I
the
think
problem with.
there's thought put into it. It's
No,
just
sure,
that
no, I
like
yes, 100%. But like,
no, the problem is not that like whether or not there's thought put into it.
yeah,
I think for me, my problem that like so Doug's playing devil's advocate with the point that like 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 everything you just said, and I think that that's probably true for a lot of people, and they're just like willing to accept that, like they're just willing to watch the movie under those circumstances, like project what they get out of it, and like the logic stuff doesn't really make sense,
sure,
and that's fine. Um, and like that's true for me with like other movies too, which is like people always bring that up when we talk about M Night, is that like the logic in his movies doesn't make sense and blah blah blah. It's all like the real world logic, and it's like that stuff's not important in his movies, right? So like you can't. But my problem is that like his movies have like a movie world logic that makes sense, and when I was watching this, I just felt like this was a script that didn't make sense in either direction. And that's what bothered me, is like you both create a movie with like that doesn't apply to real world logic, but then there's not really much thought put into the movie world logic. And I just like it's so hard to understand anything because I don't think I think there's a lot that's not thought out. I think there are like I don't know. There's just like there's
It's
just a lot on like a
using
script basis that doesn't work for me, like character wise and plot wise. And it's like this stuff's annoying. Like I don't want to be the fucking cinema sins guy, but it's like there's just stuff like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I have like read and come to understand that just like does not it just doesn't work for me. And it's like it's not the ideas of the movie that don't work for me. It's like
yeah,
it's most of what people are liking about the movie is not what I have a problem with. It's like I'm pulling stuff from like the script that just made the movie like fundamentally unwatchable for me. I saw this tweet about where someone was like what happened to what did they say? They were like it's kind of an annoying tweet, but they were like, I miss when horror movies had a second act and weren't just short films stretched to 130 minutes. And
this.
it's like,
This is a
I
short film stretched to 141
sure,
minutes straight up.
this
but what I will
Shyamalan
say
is
is
a
like
bitch.
sometimes you stretch the
This is a
thing that I
fucking
like
Black Mirror episode that they added another hour to.
the thing yeah, but the thing that I got out of that tweet wasn't so much like the short film stretch to 130 minutes, because oftentimes people stretch short films to full movies and then they make good movies out of them. The problem is like it's just
Well,
like
a lot of the time people take a feature length film and shrink it to a short film.
sure, but the thing that they said about the second act is just like true. It's like these are things to me that like other people aren't going to care about because the movie isn't really like interested in them. But for me, it was just like impossible to ever get involved in it because it's like, yeah, ask somebody who knows anything about screenwriting to look at this script and point out what the second act of the script is. You wouldn't be able to find it. It's not there. It's like a 90-minute. It's like 90 minutes and
They
then the
didn't
third
show
act.
like
That's the
Ben.
movie. It's 90 minutes and then the third act starts. That's the whole movie. And it's like I get that
Yeah.
that's annoying, and I get that like you know what I mean. It's like I understand that people are going to listen to that and they're going to be like, this guy's fucking annoying. Sure,
Well,
but
are they wrong?
No, they're not, and that's the thing. It's like it's a me problem, but it's like things like this that just bothered me because I was like, it feels so like the movie fucking starts and the first thing you see is like can best screenplay winner, and then the screenplay
That is
doesn't
really
make any
crazy.
fucking sense. Like it's
No, that is really
frustrating. It's
crazy. I
like
wonder how I wonder how the jury works. Because it's like, why didn't they give it to Honora?
that's what I mean.
Can you
Listen, I
not give
haven't
the
seen Honora
the
yet, but
palm?
like
No, I'm just like assuming it won the
yeah.
Palm d'Or. You know, like
Yeah, exactly. And I get that it's bold, but like it's not like it's not bold as a screenplay though. Like it's like you
it
don't even
really
have a second
isn't.
act. You don't
Yeah,
it's not it's really not like as a screenplay it's
Well,
not
yeah, it's a bold
the
thing.
ideas aren't
You need a
exactly
second
even
act.
that bold really because they're ideas that like are already out there but they're bold in the way they're presented but like they're not it's not like some
Yeah.
it doesn't even interrogate anything that like adds something to the conversation that like a bold
No.
best screenplay award winning movie would. You know what I mean? It's like ideas that are kind of already out there. And it even like the movie even kind of sets up other things that it could interrogate that would make it a more interesting screenplay. But then it doesn't do those things. Like it's like even in the movie logic, it cares so much about the two like characters at the front of it who are kind of barely even characters, but whatever. That's like a different thing. Which is like again kind of the point, blah blah blah. Like you know what I mean. Everything's the point, and I'm an idiot. But like there's like stuff that it's like they don't even care to address like where the substance is coming from or who's making this. They don't care to like address like the Dennis Quaid character, like as good as Dennis Quaid is, also not really a character. There's also the guy who lives across the hall in the apartment that's just like there for some reason, and it's like, like
It's just
exist.
it's super
Those people
thin.
exist
It's super
to
thin.
like to support these ideas. But like, if you were going to flesh those ideas out or even like layer those ideas, then those people would have to exist in a greater way. And you made a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, so they could have. Like it's like you could have had more Dennis Quaid and the guy across the hallway, and you could have used them to make a point, but you don't. And that's like my frustration with it being like this script that is so lauded because it's like it's not doing any of the things that I think a script that's held in that high regard should do. That's what bothers me.
it's interesting. Do you? There is so much noise happening. Like right about. Can you hear? Okay.
We can't hear it.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's interesting because there's we talk about it being really bold, right? The movie's also like really dumb, and not just like with the internal logic stuff, but it's like it's about these ideas, and I wonder like would it not be bolder if it went even more intense with some of them like Demi Moore and maybe it is like part of it right is that Demi Moore is like an older woman but she's still very conventionally attractive right um what if they hired an even older actress that is like not conventionally attractive and I don't know that's a dumb thing to maybe even bring up but like it's like these ideas where it's like and I guess like it is also dream logic and it's from her perspective and it's like oh she feels
Yeah,
like
that's like a lot of
yeah
the support in the opposite direction, I think. And that's kind of the solution to like a lot of these things of like, kind I mean that the big thing that Owen said, I think that is like true is that there's like confusing logic there surrounding like if they're the same person or if they're separate consciousnesses or if that even matters and it is all kind of dream logic and it is all kind of explained away because it doesn't have to make sense, I guess technically. But then there's like things that don't make sense just like with how you make a movie. I think that's the problem is like it's both like doing that stuff, like it's like it almost like wants the audience to like pull these and it admits that it doesn't have to make sense, right? And if you make a movie like that, like you make a movie like Lynch does, for example, then like there's like a degree of respect that you have for your audience to like figure these things out. But the
yes
movie
That was my
doesn't
biggest
have that
yeah.
degree of respect because there are like so many moments in the movie where they just like show something to you and then they explain it to you, and then they explain it to you again. And we're not even
Yes.
talking about like the themes of the movie here, which people have repeatedly said that it's like kind of like a
Yeah.
sledgehammer, like it like echoes the themes over and over and over again. That's not what I'm talking about.
No,
I'm
like
not even
plot
talking about
details, like
yeah, I'm
callbacks
talking
to
about like
things.
literal
Yeah.
plot details that treat like there's moments in the movie where they explain things that if you've been watching the movie
You
don't
just
even need to be explained to you because
there's
anybody
well, there's
they
that
almost treat you like you
guy.
haven't been. Yes, that's what I was
Yes,
gonna
he
get
has
to.
this birthmark on his
Yeah.
hand, and he's like he's also taking the substance, and it's like this like diner scene, and she sees him, and he starts talking to him, and they like show the thing. They do like some like he's the stuff he's talking about, it's like, and then they like do like a flashback thing. So
Yeah.
you like
Even
it's like
before that, he makes a comment to her about being on the substance.
yeah, no, it's
First he
super
says something about the substance,
yeah,
then you see his birthmark,
and
then they
it's
do a
like
flashback
it's
with him as
super
a doctor.
it's really funny
And
because we talked about the movie being like kind of really it's super thin, but it's also super confusing, but then they're also like just like hey like trying to keep you like understanding like to the way where like does not trust its audience, but it's also like the script isn't strong enough to like warrant like needing to do that because it's like none of this it's like the confusing stuff isn't like we're not like getting that being told to us. Like none of the stuff that we are asking questions about, they're telling us. But the stuff that we
yeah,
know, they're keep
they're
just
repeating
telling.
to it. Yeah,
It's
and then
like,
it's
dude,
like
Yeah.
I know that
This
shit.
is where the
Please
dream logic part
explain
of
to
it
me like
falls
the
apart for
other
me.
shit.
Yeah.
Like explain to me
yeah.
the stuff I don't know. Stop repeating stuff I do know, or like stop
Yeah.
like being. It's weird. It's
It's
really
just like
weird.
so frustrating because it's like there's I mean even when you look at even after I don't know if it's after the flashback or before it, but even part of that whole sequence is like
Yeah.
him dropping like his stuff on the floor and then you see his like number card from the
Yeah. No. It's
substance
like,
and
dude.
it's like why do you need to show us that after showing us the birthmark, after showing us the flashback,
No.
after
They're
him talking about the substance? It's like why
he
do you like no shit he fucking has a number card. Like what like
all they needed because if you're gonna implement the birthmark, it's like he just needs to have the birthmark and then he can just talk to her. Like it's like it needs to none other shit needs to be in the movie. It's like
yeah.
and if you
It's
don't
like
and if
it
you
just
miss
treats you
that
like you're
if
dumb.
somehow that you miss that like then you miss it. Like if there's some level of like where if you miss something in a movie that's like there, it's like you were just meant to miss it. Like it's like you're not supposed to you can't pick up
Yeah.
everything. It's I don't know.
But I don't like being treated like I'm dumb because then it's like because then you feel dumb about the stuff that's confusing and it's like sure
Yeah.
that's fine because that would be interesting to kind of pick apart and like give thought to. And if you just like made the movie differently, then there'd be even more to talk about there. But because it's so confusing, like but like both
Yeah. It's
like the
really
internal
weird.
logic of the movie is so confusing, it's almost impossible to like really have as much of a discussion as you'd want about it because they're
Yeah.
so focused on these details that don't matter. It's like I don't and part of that and I'm gonna say an annoying thing here, but this is just like how I felt when I saw it. It's like that stuff almost kind of explains to me why the movie is being as well received as it is. You know
Oh
you know
man.
what I mean?
I
It's
know
like
what you mean, all
because
right.
I'm almost like because I and listen, this is gonna be the most annoying thing I say ever, and like whatever, people could fucking make fun of me for it. But it's like I think the most successful version of this movie would not have a 4.1 or whatever on Letterboxd. I just don't see how that happens. I just don't
Olivia
see
Wilde nodding gif.
yeah, I just don't see
Well,
it just
no,
doesn't make
because
sense to me that it
I
would be like
mean
a
the movie's
universally
trying to
loved
be
If
movie
the
if
so
it
movie
wasn't so like it
if the
feels closer
movie
to like
was
Pearl than it
actually
does like
oh yes, if the movie was actually extreme and actually
yeah,
subversive and
yeah.
actually like taking big risks,
it wouldn't have
people
a
would hate it.
4.1.
Not
Yeah.
everybody would hate it.
Well,
Some
no,
people would love it.
it would be like one of those like 2.9. Like there was like people who ride for it. This people, the other half just thinks it's like garbage.
I don't even think it has
But
to be like a 2.9, but like even like something like I went into the movie expecting something like Titan,
I was
which
gonna
is
say
still
something
like
like
a
Catan.
mostly
Catan won
which
the
is like a
Palme
mostly
d'Or,
liked movie that won yeah, like that won the Palme
but there
d'Or,
were
but
a
then
lot of
like
like
a lot of people were
prestigious
like, this was
people
fucking stupid. Yeah.
with like really like considered like really good taste, whatever in the space, right? That are like, yeah, Catan, it doesn't work for me. I don't know, it's a weird
Yeah.
movie, it doesn't work for me. And it's like,
But
this isn't even like that.
this is like a universally loved
Yeah.
movie in a way
yeah,
that like only like a fucking, you know, like fucking A24 commercial movie could be universally loved, you know? Like it's not
Olivia Wilde
it's
nodding gif.
yeah, it's like it's just not that and that's like
We're reaching it's pop art house. We're
yeah.
it's like
yeah,
so much of like these like big kind of like big swings from directors that aren't like super prestigious, right? That are like kind of like hitting home runs critically and by audience scores and stuff. It's like, bro, this movie has a B cinema stins, not cinema sins,
We
Cinema
talked about
score,
cinema
cinema
a lot.
score,
Cinema
cinema
score.
cinema
There you go.
score. And it's a B cinema score. That's
Yeah.
great. That's for the audience. I need to explain to you how crazy this is, right? And how like that this really illustrates Kevin's point. Is like a cinema score is like random movie theaters across the country, right? You
Do like
go in,
surveys.
yeah,
Jimmy
they
in
survey
Oklahoma
you
voted,
after the
and he
movie,
gave
and
it
it's
a
like,
fucking A.
yeah, it's like a punch card, and it asks you a couple of questions, like, how did you feel about this movie? A, B, C, D, F. Will you buy this? Would you buy this movie on DVD or Blu-ray? A, B, C, D, F. And it's like questions like that. And it's like 4 questions, and you punch a hole in it. It's like,
Yeah.
so it's like literally like actually random people. Like this is like a true. It's the truest expression of like a general audience, because even like Rotten Tomatoes audience score or Letterboxd or something, it's like somebody has to be willingly go and put in a rating. This is like.
Yeah.
B is so high. B is crazy. It's like
Yeah.
people like this movie. Anyways.
No,
But
yeah, I
it's
mean
like,
that's
it's
what I was
Pop
saying.
Art
It's
House.
like,
It's Pop
yeah,
Art House, yeah.
I don't know. And then even on like this is like, there's probably too much to discuss regarding it, but like even like continuing on with the writing, like on a character level, I just like there's a lot about the characters that just like doesn't make sense to me. And sure, like ultimately, like it's not a movie that I could relate to at all. So that maybe that has something to do with it. But it feels like the movie is very uninterested in its characters. It 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 feels like it
The
doesn't even really
movie
like its
Well,
characters, which is sure
that's
that's
another
part of
issue
it.
I have. The movie's so mean to the Demi Moore character, to the point where
Yeah.
hurting her into a fucking like a witch crafting an evil brew
Yeah,
is like, it's
Yeah.
like ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And I get it, where it's like, maybe you just feel like that. Maybe women, as
Yeah.
they get older, sometimes they feel like they're a fucking like an evil witch making gross food. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's fine. That's fine. That's valid. But here's the thing, that doesn't make the movie
Well, it
that
just
doesn't
feels like that stuff, but like that could be true to like people's experiences, and it's probably true that you could like project those experiences onto the movie, and it's successful for you as a result. But like, but in terms of like crafting the character, it just feels so uninterested in like anything else surrounding her. Like even like the kind of like fame that she has is confusing
I was gonna say that.
because
How is
like
she famous?
Well, so that part's another like element of the film that's very thin. Is like, so she's this aerobic star, and then like it doesn't really go much into that, but it also doesn't really go into much with her relationship with fame. Like, so she's famous and
yes, that's what I mean.
she likes the attention, but that's all we really have. And it's like, so she's getting canned because she's old, right?
Yeah.
But she's desperate to reclaim and get that like fame and that kind of prestige and that kind of job she has. But why does she want that? Like, what is her relationship with that outside of just being liked and people liking?
One of my
like,
one of
you
my
know?
issues there is like you say she likes the attention, but the movie paints either the real world or the movie world, or truthfully both in this instance,
Yeah.
as like a world where these famous people are under a spotlight, and if you happen to be a famous woman, then like you are like just objectified, and that's
Mhm.
like it's just like these are the
Yeah.
like the movie paints the men around her, and you see that all of the men around her do nothing but objectify her. And so
There's
but
this
then it
scene.
calls into question, it's like, why would you want to be in that spotlight? And it never really gives us an
No, it
answer
never
to like
kind
what
of
she gets at
dives
it.
It
Because
into
doesn't
that.
really
you never
interrogate itself.
No.
really
Yeah.
get like an understanding of like if she is an artist who does it, who wants the spotlight anyway because of the art that she's doing, or if like she's super passionate about this thing. Like it never really tells us that. So it's essentially saying that she just like wants the spotlight just for that, which is like gross and wrong almost, I feel. I mean, I would hope that like you
No,
would
it's like,
want to
yeah,
be
she just
more
kind
than
of
just
likes
objectified by
being,
Hollywood. Like,
yeah.
There's
you
this
know, it's
scene where the not Margaret Robbie. What's her name?
Margaret
Margaret
Qualley.
Qualley. um,
Margot Robbie.
yeah, Margaret Qualley. She's doing her kind of aerobics shoot, right? For her show, and the director or whatever calls like on the PA is like, hey, there's something weird on camera 2, and they're like, okay, put camera 2 on the big monitor, and camera 2 is just like a like super close up of her ass, and they're going frame by frame. It's like the most like ridiculous, overtly like comical, like, oh, she's just super over sexualized, and it's like that's like her, this all of her worth is just boiled down to her sexual appearance, and it's like, okay,
Yeah, and
anything
it's like
else?
that stuff. You know what I mean though. It's like that stuff could be true, but then there would have to be some kind of like push and pull that exists to like, you know what I mean? It's like why else would you be in that? Because it's not even. Like I get it from that perspective. It's like this is like kind of something that you can't escape as a woman, but then why would you then like want to thrust yourself back into the same spotlight by taking the substance? You know what I mean? If all that spotlight is this, and you never really learn anything else about like why she'd be in that spotlight in the first place. Like it's like there's no does that make sense? Like it's like there's no like reason to be in the position you're in, and then have like the decision to put yourself in the same spot all over again from scratch. If there's not something that you get out of it that's more than what the movie is illustrating, which is just that all these men around her are horrible, like Hollywood is horrible, and she's objectified at every turn. Like it's like why would you want to do that all over again if there's nothing else that you're getting out of it other than if it's just truthfully a movie about aging and
Yeah.
that's it, but it can't be that because then all of this extra stuff that surrounds it would be like rendered meaningless.
That seems to be the like fucking the meat and potatoes of the film that are never touched on. Like the fact that like she very much needs this spotlight and she very much needs this job and to be beautiful and to be liked by these people, but these people are terrible. But it never ever goes into like that kind of relationship and like why is she doing it? Like what is the real like I don't know, these real reasons deep down. Like I don't know. It's just it's so thin that I don't it never really.
I don't want to be too rude, but I feel like there's probably another movie where I've used an analogy like this before. There's a lot of noise happening right above my head. But
I
there's
hear it.
sorry.
You're
Um,
good.
I feel like I probably used a similar analogy like this before for a movie, but it's very rude. If somebody really likes this movie, they're gonna not like what I have to say. But like some parts of the movie, like there are some parts of it where I don't think this applies, but some parts of the movie feel like they are as effective as a piece of art with the message as just putting on the screen like being a woman is hard. It's hard to get old. It's just like saying these things out loud, right? It's like it would be equally as effective as like what the film is portraying. There are some scenes with some more nuance that are kind of like complex, like when she's getting ready to go on that date, right? That's kind of interesting. It's like it's
Yeah,
pulling like a
Yeah.
real experience that
I
people
actually really
actually
like that
have,
scene. Yeah.
you know. But like that's a lot of the movie. It's just kind of like it's like, oh, being a woman is hard, and it's like being like, and young women are kind of objectified, and then when they're not young anymore they get thrown away, and it's like, oh, how are we going to illustrate this in the film? So we're going to have like these cartoon men, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna have these caricatures of human
It would be
beings,
really funny
like
if it was like a Ryder Rabbit situation and all the men were like fucking animated.
that. I mean, that would be a stronger
That
choice.
was a bold movie, like a
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid, like Ronald Reagan action figure, and
Well, because like her neighbor across the hall is like, oh, Sue, and is like with like fucking with like his heart bumping out of his chest, and it's like his
oh
tail
yeah,
wagging, with like, and he's like a creep. He's like a creepy guy, but it's like he's like a cartoonish version of a
yeah.
creepy guy, you know?
She
Yeah.
should have
Like,
or something. I don't know. He was. It felt like he was just there for someone to like chop his head off, but that didn't really never happen. Like it was like he was like, and I kind of liked the guy. I thought he was a fun character. I don't remember his name, but the guy who gives him is it's like Fred or something. He gives
oh
a
yeah,
number to her, and that's like the guy she was going to go on the date with, and she never goes up on the date. And I was actually kind of bummed because I was excited to see them go on that date because he was an interesting character. It was weird. He was like kind of awful at life, but kind of charming in that way that he was really bad at everything.
he's the only. There's literally 5 characters in the entire movie, right? Um,
Yeah.
Are you combining Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore as one?
No,
And when you count those,
those are 2 separate characters.
okay,
So
I
there's
think there would
3
be
other
6 then.
characters.
No,
So it's Sue. It's what the Demi Moore character's name?
Elizabeth
I forgot.
Sparkle.
Elizabeth
Yes.
Sparkle.
Ridiculous,
Sue.
ridiculous name, by the way.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Sparkle, and then just Sue being like, she's like, it's like if the best fucking basketball player was just John, like he was like LeBron and John, and it's like they were going head to head.
Dream
Wait, so
Logic.
who are the other characters?
Dennis Quaid.
Okay.
Neighbor across the street.
Yes.
Guy asked her out on a date. There is 6, and then the guy on
Yeah.
the phone.
And then
Yeah.
and then the yeah.
And
Yeah.
did you say the guy with the bird?
Oh, and
farm?
the guy in the motorbike. Yeah.
7. You're right.
And the motorbike guy, the
And
fucking
the motorbike.
Nora guy.
That's
yeah.
8. Yeah, the motorbike
Yeah,
that
Nora,
guy that she
fake
has over
Nora
at her
guy.
apartment. So it's 8 characters really.
Oh wow.
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 8. That's a lot, actually. You know what?
That's-
It got me.
it's-
This movie's
yeah.
good. Good movie. A+.
I changed my mind. I'm Team Substance. Here we go.
I forgot about the motorbike guy.
Yeah, the motorbike guy's a part of it.
I would say
He-
the guy that Sue was like dating, but I don't think he counts as a character.
Oh, his ass is in the movie though.
His ass is in the movie, but I don't think he counts.
Is that? I mean, you got ass in the movie. You're a character.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, those are the rules.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like listen, if you like the movie, you have your reasons. And you probably fucking hate us and want us to die.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
No, but it's like I don't know. Like obviously, like there's a lot. The thing is like when you read like positive reviews of the movie, and that's what I was kind of hinting at before, is like there are like positive reactions to the movie where like a lot of this stuff is not stuff that I disagree with, or not even not so much that I disagree with it, but it's like it's stuff that like I could acknowledge, but that just like isn't effective to me because of the other things. Like it's like a lot of people are like pointing to the fact that like all of these things are kind of explained away by the fact that it is satire, and then like my response to that is just simply that like it still doesn't like do anything, you know what I mean? Like it's like you can't just like be like, oh, satire, and then like it's like everything's magically solved. Like none of the stuff that like none of the stuff that I just explained that bothers me about the movie would change, like assuming that. And that's what I mean. It's like
coat though.
Oh, great coat. Yeah, yellow's my
It's
favorite color as
incredible
well.
coat.
So
Actually,
a lot of
incredible
I would wear
yellow
that
in this
coat.
movie. Yeah.
And I was interested on like the decision there. I like
Make it
why
yellow,
the
you
yellow coat. It's pop. It's very funny because she's like trying to hide and she's trying to like kind of she's in the
She's
street.
trying
and
she's trying to hide, but like
she's
a
not trying
bright
to be
yellow
seen,
coat
but then she's
causes a lot
like
of
a fucking
attention
she looks
to
like
you.
a minion out there.
Yeah, she looks like
Yeah.
the what's the guy from Curious George, the man in the
the
yellow
man,
hat?
the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
I
you
do
go.
like the part, but yeah, I like when she's like at that stage before the last one that Owen was referencing, where she's like hunched over and she has to like go out into the
Yeah.
world, and she's like on the sidewalk in the yellow coat, like hunched over, and she's like she does like the little wobble, like run.
But she's wearing her
I just-
uniforms.
Yeah, exactly. I did like that part. That's what I mean. It's like I got like a good laugh out of it. Like I thought it was like, but the problem is that like the other thing is like because I've seen people saying this, but it's like I thought it was like funny but not fun. Like I got like laughs, but then it's like it's still a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. It
It's a
still
hard
just
one to
like
get
does
through.
repeat things at me. So it's like sometimes when like it has like a punchline, I'm like I let out a chuckle. I'm like, oh, that's silly. But then like I
there's
didn't
good like
really,
reverse
I wasn't
shot,
like
ass,
yeah, but I wasn't
ass.
like enjoying it. Like it's like I wasn't really
Yeah.
like I was just
Yeah.
kind of sitting like even when I was laughing, I wasn't really enjoying it much because I was like,
you can have a strong
'cause I
good
wanted it
5
to be
seconds here
something
and there,
else.
but it's you gotta string
Yeah.
those together. You gotta start having chunks of
Yeah.
the film that are
So it's
good.
like so I do think it has like things that I like about it, and I do think and like that's what I don't know. I want to keep I keep hinting at it because it's because I think that it's like fine that a lot of people like the movie because it seems like most of the positive reviews I've read are things that I don't even necessarily disagree with, but I would just have to watch this movie in a different way to like to actually enjoy it, and the problem is that I don't want to rewatch it. So that's just probably not going to happen. Like it's like I would have to be in a completely different headspace to come out of this movie feeling the way that other people did about it, and I just don't know that I have the energy or like effort to sit through 2 hours and 20 minutes of this again, because it just kind of like that stuff just kind of caught me early, and it did not really stop.
No,
like
it's a tough one where it's like if you're not vibing with it, it's just gonna keep going and doing this for a while. And it's gonna be a tough one to kind of go through.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I want to throw out there, this has nothing to do with the themes of the film, which we've kind of been interrogating a little bit. Oh, actually, I even move away from the themes of the film, I need to throw this out there because I've seen nobody talk about it. This film's relationship with food,
Yeah, go off. Say some
it's
things.
it's well, I just like it's kind of weird. I think it's worth interrogating because she turns into like a witch. She just gets ugly. She just it's basically she's like her skin is like getting warted and like kind of
Yeah,
like disformed and it's like
it's like
aging rapidly or
really
something.
her finger gets really like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she's like the filmmaker's trying to make her look like kind of a witch. I don't know what like the internal logic of the film, how it's working, but
it's like when
she's
you get
getting
old, you
uglier.
start
Like
looking like a fucking evil
Yeah.
witch from like a fantasy movie.
and she opens up this French cookbook, right? Which is like just like a legit French cookbook, and she
Yeah.
starts like making like evil food. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
well, that I don't know, like it gets like weird, but like I thought it was funny that she like opens this like book and she starts like reading these food things. She like starts like fucking like making like evil fucking grins and like reading the fucking names of the fucking like it's like so bizarre.
yeah, and I the which is like that's one thing. To make the evil food is one thing. But where I think
Yeah.
it maybe crosses a line for me is when she's making the evil food, but like and it's like a close up of like disgusting sausage or whatever, and then it cuts to like Margaret Qualley's ass. Or like it's like it's like going back and forth between like it's like the film, the text of the film, the images, directly comparing the disgusting food to like the fit and like sexy Margaret Qualley,
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Like I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't like and I think like maybe that is like not a good thing that the film is doing. I don't know. It's do you understand what I'm kind of getting at? I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I get what you mean.
It's
It is
just
a weird.
weird. It's a
I
little
didn't really
weird.
think I didn't think much about it until when we were talking off pod, you brought it up, and then like the more I kind of thought about it, I was like, it is weird that it's putting these two things at
Yeah.
conflict.
Well,
Not
so she's getting
like,
old, right? And she's not going out. And then she's kind of like trashing the place and like eating a
But
lot
yeah,
of like
putting it
really
lightly.
gross
yeah,
food and
trash.
like
She definitely trashes
she's
it.
like a slob and she just like watches TV all day and she like heckles the TV. It's like
Yeah,
she gets really awful, but it's kind of I don't know. It's very it's like that is the decision that's being made there to kind of she's getting old and ugly, and that's also making her like be like horrible and also but then also like her being horrible also is like aligned with her eating a lot of like food.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what? I'll circle back to it. It's like maybe because the film is from the perspective of the Demi Moore character, like it's like that's just how she feels. Like it's like this is her
yeah,
relationship
she
with
feels
food
like
as
a
she's getting
slob.
older.
She feels horrible. She feels like a
Yeah.
mess. She
Um
feels like a witch.
yeah, which is fine. And I think like if that's when you watch the movie, that's how you feel about it. I think that's like and you think that's really effective. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and Margaret Qualley as a fucking chicken leg in her ass.
Yeah, and then
that's
they
not,
like, hey, wait, put out the ass cam on the big monitor. Let's circle around and figure out what's going on. And then like, we go frame
And
by
everyone
frame
like
on the ass
everyone
cam.
has
yeah.
yeah,
That's not a joke. If you haven't seen the movie, that happens.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my notes and I've gone through everything mostly that I wanted to talk about. Is there stuff you guys want to mention? I mean, you brought up the food. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think stands
Yeah,
out and is worth
so
discussing in either direction?
the last 40 minutes, basically, Margaret Qualley kills Demi Moore. Uh,
She beats she like does like a fucking like Hulk kick and like she flies in it's like a crazy like
it's
Superman
very
fucking
mean.
move.
It's like
And then she like
tremendously
fucking
mean.
bashes her skull in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore, they now are both awake at the same time, and Margaret Qualley fucking kills Demi Moore.
Oh well so yeah,
Um,
like Margaret Qualley not Margaret Qualley. Demi Moore has like a fucking like termination fucking syringe.
Yeah.
And she's like she's about to she like fucking like half puts it in her like or maybe like a like maybe
she like half
75%.
injects it.
She like
Yeah.
injects it and then she's like fuck no and then she so
It's your
then
big night.
yeah. So then but then Margaret Qualley like wakes up I don't really remember how all this works, but they both are awake now. And then Mark Foley sees like the fucking like thing that like has like a little
The
left in it.
termination thing.
Yeah, it has a little left in it. And then like she just fucking like beats the shit out of like old hag looking ass.
Yeah, she like chases her around like Tom and Jerry style. They do like they do like a couple laps around the table and like
Yeah.
yeah, and then she just murders her.
Beats her up. But then that goes into like the later part where she like is like, I don't wait, what happens again? Why did she like make another one?
So because her body starts falling apart because
Yeah.
they can't exist separately.
Yeah,
so
they
she
can't.
like
She needs to live
her
off
ear comes off, her teeth come off.
And it all starts happening the night of her big New Year's Eve show, which is another thing that was confusing, is that the New Year's Eve show is like what's going to make her like the biggest superstar on the planet.
It's very weird because it has this weird like, this is not how any of this works, but who cares? But it's like she does an aerobic show and then she is like doing a New Year's Eve show, and this is like the height of fame.
Yeah, it feels like very 90s, but this movie can only exist today. Like it's like, you know what I mean? It's like like the logic of the like movie world is like, I mean, it doesn't really explain enough for us to even be able, like, the truth is that it's not the real world. So the time period doesn't really matter. But if you were going to try to place a time period on it, you would say it's not the present day, except the movie is very much only a movie that could exist in the present.
So she like loses all her teeth, and then she like sucks.
She takes the substance again for a
second.
Oh,
that's what it is. Because there's like there's the substance.
There's stuff left from
on the substance. It says like discard, one use only.
Yeah.
And then she like can't read or something, so she stabs it in herself again.
Yeah, she takes it again.
And then
like, I need to be
her fucking back breaks and opens up like her like, and so and then we get the same like kind of POV shot, and then it goes to the mirror, and then you see this fucking like ugly fucking like
it turns into like a ridiculous like extreme version of the Elephant Man.
It's so extreme. It's so extreme. But it is, again, it is very like Lynch referencey.
Yeah.
And then that monstrosity is like, I'm going to the ball. So it's like she fucking puts the dress on. And there's also like
well, she puts like Demi Moore's
so
face,
Demi Moore's head is in her like back, and there's like an eye up here, and there, but so she puts the dress on and she goes to the thing. Well, Demi Moore's face like is on her. I thought you meant like the fucking head.
No, like she cuts out like the portrait of Demi Moore as a picture. She cuts it out and like puts it on like a paper mask,
and then
which is an interesting image in the sense where it's like Demi Moore wasn't pretty enough before, but now it's like, oh, you wish you could go back, whatever.
Yeah, it's the whole like.
That's what, like, there's like ideas
like,
there.
Yeah.
The movie has plenty of ideas that I do think could be interesting if a lot of the stuff surrounding.
Then that goes into the whole like, that's the whole when the Carrie scene happens, when her mask comes off and they're like, fucking hideous monster, and then she like starts like, I don't know, like
that's the end. The ending happens.
Like bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, it just starts spewing in places, and
spewing is a good word.
Kevin is locked into.
Okay. Listen, I'm ashamed to report that I'm watching football during the podcast. I had a 3-leg parlay going, and the third leg of the parlay has to hit. It's a CeeDee Lamb touchdown, and sadly the Cowboys just threw a touchdown, and it was not to CeeDee Lamb, which means my parlay is pretty much void now, and I'm probably gonna have to cash out for like 49 cents.
Well, so I like to report live on the podcast.
Deontay Johnson legacy game.
Hey, Panthers are 1-2. Hey,
the Panthers have won a football game. They are not.
Andy Dalton, 36-22. Andy Dalton is the greatest quarterback.
This is a good signifier of the exact moment that we're recording this podcast at. If people are curious when this recording is taking place,
Andy fucking Dalton, first quarterback in the NFL this season to throw for 300+ yards and 3 touchdowns.
before we turn into a football podcast, do we want to say
Yeah,
anything
I'm
else?
like tapping out when you guys are talking about football.
Because I have a lot of news to talk about, but I don't want to move on from the
Andy
movie
fucking
unless
Dalton.
you guys are totally done.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about the substance.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to touch on that ending part with like the monster and just say that I think that it's very impressive, but I think that similar to Longlegs, people are maybe overstating what is going on there with how extreme it gets. Because it's like, yeah, she turns into a fucking monster that spews blood everywhere, but it's also have you seen a John Carpenter movie? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, that's what I said before, where I was like, I think I sadly like heard so much about how
Well, they're
absolutely like
talking about it like it's the
vile and
greatest
messed up.
movie of all time, which we
Yeah.
somehow do every other week. And then it's like, dude,
And listen, like it's an expectation versus reality thing, and that stuff just sucks. And that's like never a diss on the movie. Like it's like I can't complain about how a movie is made simply because I wanted it to be a different movie. But it does certainly suck to like the one thing I will say is that like I was genuinely so excited for the movie. Like I wanted I really listen, Owen did not like her last film, so I think Owen went in a
Revenge.
little bit differently where you were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
probably not going
she
to like this."
has.
But like
Yeah.
for me, I went into this movie like super pumped. Like I was like I expected to like this. I expected even for it to be a long leg situation and for me to come to this podcast being the only one who like loved the movie and you guys hated it. Like I really went in hoping to like the movie because I was reading these tweets and I was like listening to how people talked about it and I was like, "Oh, this sounds fucking gnarly." But then it's just like nowhere close to the level of gnarly that I wanted it to be. Like it's not really a like disgusting gross out body horror movie. It's like it's like it's just like played for laughs, which is fine. Like that's a separate thing. But it is just kind of like this like silly kind of like campy like the body horror is like comedy type of deal, which is just
It
like a
reminded me of
bummer because I
Barbie in a
didn't.
lot of ways,
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that comparison. I've seen
in
people
terms of
compare it
like
to Barbie. It's like a horror Barbie.
yeah, like
I
it is kind of like the horror
Yeah.
Barbie in terms of just like the way that even like the kind of the aerobics and kind of they're very
Yeah.
like
But
just like
it just sucks. I don't know. It just
plastic.
sucks to go into a movie like genuinely, or it's that time of year where like I get in the mood and I'm like I want to at least watch a couple movies around this time of year where like they really fuck me up.
Yeah,
I really leave the theater and I'm like, "Damn, that was fucking scary or that was fucking gross." And like as over the top as it all gets, it's like what Doug said. It's like, yeah, have you seen like The Thing, dude? Like it's like the
Yeah,
ending
that's
is not like
It's
the
like,
ending is not
have you
like
seen The
grosser
Thing?
than The Thing. Like it's like I really wanted to like be messed up by it. And again, that's a different movie. Like it's like that's not a diss on the
sure.
movie. It does suck that like I really thought it was going to be this one thing that it ends up not being because I really did want to like it. And I really thought that I would. I mean, it's again, I keep talking about the best screenplay thing, but it's like I get excited when I see that. Like I want to watch movies that win screenplay awards because I like good screenplays. And then when you watch it under that impression, and then the thing that you like least about the movie is the screenplay, it's not my reaction's not going to be very positive. But that's just
Yeah.
how it goes. Okay. Like I said, we have like so much news to cover this week. Like I literally left stories out and there's still like so many of them. So we're gonna get to that. As always, share your feedback. If you liked listening to us talk about the substance, you could like, comment, subscribe, or even if you didn't like listening to us, you can still comment.
Well,
On
leave a like
leave a like though.
if you
Leave a
can,
like though.
unless you like
Yeah.
hate us,
Yeah, unless you hate us after this. But if you don't hate us, you could also rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Oh, whoa,
Or above.
5 stars.
whoa!
I'm gonna be honest.
Um,
If you're not gonna rate us 5 stars, maybe don't rate us.
Yeah.
Maybe just don't.
Yeah, even a 4-star just brings the average down. It's like
Yeah.
it's really 5-star or bust around here.
Yes,
And follow us on all the social platforms, the Twitter, the
like we're
TikTok, wherever you could
Alabama.
find us. And you could join the Discord, all that stuff. Let's talk about
We're
some
active
news.
in the Discord.
Our first piece of news is a piece of news that Doug hinted at before, but did not say because I think he knew that it would come up, which is that Oz Lerman's next film at Warner Bros. Will be about Joan of Arc, and casting is currently underway. I assumed you like mentioned the Joan of Arc movies, but didn't say the Baz Luhrmann news because you knew we would get here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to let me cook for about an hour on this, buddy.
Yeah,
Go get a
we
fucking
talked,
drink.
for context, we talked about this for literally like 5 hours off the podcast. So forgive us if we don't bring the same energy to
We
it.
were just like
Oh,
literally the other night we were playing video games and we were just cooking. We were just like fucking yapping about this.
It just
it
like
was
did not end. Like it was like one of those conversations that should be 2 minutes, but it's like when you start naming like 2000s role players and then like it just goes on for way to like you all of a sudden you're pulling up like fucking Tabo Cephalosha highlights and things just get crazy, you know.
yeah, I'll say I think I'm a big Baz Luhrmann fan. I'm not the biggest Baz Luhrmann fan. There are definitely people like
Bigger
that like him
ones.
more.
Yeah.
But like I like him a lot. I'm the biggest in this
Physically.
call. And I'm bigger than because a lot of people dislike him. So, you know, I'm like in the top percentile of Baz Luhrmann fans.
Yeah, he's
And,
on your fucking wrapped.
yeah. And so I really like it, and I think that this is a really cool thing. I think that Baz Luhrmann, Joan of Arc is so interesting, and we kind of cooked on some casting ideas. Like we
Yeah.
came up with some cool names, right? I think specifically, you know, me and Owen came up with Olivia Rodrigo as
Yeah.
Joan of Arc, which we
That's the
really
big
like a
one.
lot.
That's the big one.
And other than that, you know, it's like Jenna Ortega and what's that girl's name?
Ruby Cruz.
Thank you, Ruby Cruz, which I think is also a really, really kind of excellent choice there. I came up with another one that I haven't shared with you guys yet, and I want you to.
Live pod reaction.
Okay, I'm here.
I don't think that this is going to happen. I don't think, like, obviously, like, we love Olivia Rodrigo. That's probably not going to happen though.
Sure.
But like, I think that because Joan of Arc is a symbol, is like she represents what it's like to be a woman. Like she is kind of like every woman.
Yeah.
Like a microcosm of every woman's experience in a way, right? As like what it's like to live as a woman in the man's world, you know?
Yeah.
What if they pull a I'm not there like Bob Dylan thing? That's what the movie's called,
And
right?
there's multiple,
and they have multiple women play Joan of Arc. I think so. You can have and I think like multiple women have like different because a lot of big thing when we talk about Joan of Arc is age. We're like, oh, it has to be someone that can play really young because Joan of Arc is it's like kind of important that she was a really young woman that did all of this. But it's like if you do multiple, you could pull in like have it really be across the spectrum and like hammer in this idea where it's like Joan of Arc is every woman and have like be like from different aisles, like age and race, and like have like older women and
like
much younger women play Joan of
Jane
Arc.
Fonda, Joan of Arc.
Sure, I think like that would be interesting. I don't like that's a very big swing that I don't
it
think
would've
Baz Luhrmann
been-
is
yeah,
interested
crazy.
in, but
Yeah, I know. I
did
think
you
I
have
saw
like a name to add to that pool though, or
Yeah,
just
I was
the
like,
idea?
like Leia Seydoux, you know, like that's a big thing that
okay.
people have brought up. Where it's like, oh, you could have Leia Seydoux play Joan of Arc. You could have, you know,
there's a bunch
whoever,
of
like,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I saw something like that. Someone mentioned something like that on Twitter. I think it is an interesting idea that would be a bold one for sure, especially when we talk about like this movie specifically being kind of like this superstar role where it's going to be like this big Warner Brothers movie, Joan of Arc, Baz Luhrmann, like it's going to be one of the biggest movies of that year, and it obviously being like a star performance, like it's Joan of Arc, like her name's in the title, you're playing the titular character. It would be a huge role for anybody, but to kind of split it up would be a bold one for sure.
Yeah. So that's my idea that I had.
I think it's a cool idea, but yeah, I think like you said, it's probably pretty unlikely
for this specific like Baz Luhrmann.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's still exciting regardless. Like the project is exciting regardless.
New Baz Luhrmann movie coming hot off of Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our next piece of news, also a director who Doug really likes, but in this case, it's a director who all of us are huge fans of. James Cameron to direct Last Train from Hiroshima as soon as Avatar production allows him to. It follows a Japanese man during World War II who survived the atomic blast at Hiroshima, got on a train to Nagasaki, and then survived the nuclear explosion in that city.
Yeah.
Dude's having a bad fucking...
I need to read this book.
Tough stretch.
I need to read this book. James Cameron really wants to make this movie. He's gonna make
Mhm.
it. He's gonna make it really clear because he's like talked
Yeah.
about making this movie.
Well, he met
For
the
a
guy,
second. Yeah, yeah. He
and
met the guy.
he met the guy, and he wanted to make the movie. He's very passionate about it, but obviously he's ass deep in fucking Avatar.
He's like several
Um,
$billion
several
deep
asses
into making
deep.
Avatar.
And that's the big thing with talking about this movie is like it's pretty much confirmed that it's like this is if it's not Avatar, this is the movie, right? Because it's been floating
Mhm.
around like Terminator, blah blah blah, like obviously, like, but this has been the kind of constant like this is the movie, which is great because I've always kind of been under the thought process of like, hey, I'm totally cool if we just get Avatar movies, but if James Cameron makes a separate movie, I don't want like a new Terminator movie
Oh
or like
yeah, no.
Titanic 2 or like The Abyss 2 or some
Titanic
like
too.
some bullshit. Like I if he's gonna make another movie that's not Avatar, I don't want it to be a sequel or like a I want it to be his movie, right? Like a set, like an original his movie. So this is perfect. But the question is, will he get time to work on it ever because of Avatar? I think so because I think this man's gonna live for a while. I do think he's got some years left on him,
Yeah.
and I think there's going to be. I think maybe not after. It's the question is really, is it after Avatar 3 or is it after Avatar 4?
Right.
Yeah. He takes his health very seriously, and
Exactly.
I
That's the
he,
thing.
Yeah.
So I
he
think he
works all
will,
the time.
unless like
Yeah.
something fucking happens or whatever. He's very healthy. He's a very healthy 70-year-old.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
got to put him on the LeBron James plan, the $1 million a year
Mm-hmm.
body preservation plan,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe we put him on the substance.
No, 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 no. We don't need to do that.
We can't take risks like that. Listen,
No.
we're just gonna.
But yeah,
We
no.
jack him up
Yeah, this would
would
be
be
cool.
awesome.
This would be really cool.
in a sick
Uh,
new body.
I think it would be. I think it also would be neat for it to fall between Avatar 3 and 4. I think it'd be
Mhm.
nice to like break those up and have like a movie that comes out before another.
Yeah.
Instead of just having a constant streak
Well,
of
it's like
Avatar.
because he's already. It's the thing is, it's really like, it's we're making that as like a clean break, but it's really like because he's filming, he's like kind of working on these all together, and it's like when he's just gonna have the time and when it like makes sense for him schedule wise.
Yeah.
But it feels like when it's getting talked about more and more, and there's an Avatar movie coming out next year. When he's done with that, maybe like when that's like that's all done, like
Yeah.
if the movie's out, it's the people's now. He's obviously still working on Avatar 4, but when he gets some time where he's like, okay, I'm gonna schedule this out, and but I do think it's gonna happen. It's tough to literally say because there's so much going on. But I would really like to see it.
This is based. He would be adapting a book too, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I should read
pretty
that.
sure.
Is the name of the book the same?
What was it? I don't know.
Is the name of the book the same?
It is. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it has a. If anybody cares about this, really high
Goodreads
rating.
score?
Really high rating on Goodreads. Really high. I only noticed because when you Google the book, it's the first thing that pops up. But yeah, it's very well regarded among the Goodreads community. Very few ratings though. Nobody has read this book. I don't even know if people know who this is, like know about this book. He found a real deep cut to adapt here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
Well, I think it's more the fact that he is, that relationship with the person. At least he's met them, and he's interested in the topic. And it's a very James Cameron like idea, like all these like, I don't know in terms of
it is, yeah,
the
definitely
destruction of the world, like in the environment. It's very Cameron.
Moving on to the most Kevin piece of news we've ever had on the podcast. Josh O'Connor will lead Kelly Reichardt's next film, The Mastermind. The film centers on an audacious art heist amidst the backdrop of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
This is so exciting.
Yeah. No.
Crazy. What are we like? What?
Yeah. And you know what?
We're so up.
You know what?
The Kelly Reichardt fans.
I'm not gonna make any accusations.
Accusations?
I'm not gonna make any accusations, right? But is it crazy to say that Josh O'Connor picked this movie over the Spielberg movie?
He might have. Yeah,
because he was like originally thrown around on that, and maybe Spielberg said, "Hey, I don't like this guy," but he was originally that kind of like in that lead kind of talks, and now he's not anymore. and now he's doing this movie. And this
And
movie
now they're
sounds a
saying,
lot cooler.
it's not included in the news because there's so many things. But now they're saying that Coleman Domingo is as a name being floated for the Spielberg movie. So
that's pretty cool, Josh. That's pretty
listen,
cool. That's pretty
I'm just
cool, Josh.
saying, Josh O'Connor is
Yeah.
real as fuck. Like this is like the guy. Like he is like really the guy. Like he is like the type of person
He's here to
that
save
that
us.
you want to root for. Like he's the dude. He takes this shit seriously. He's not fucking around. Like he's really not fucking around.
I mean, he's leveraging his the Crown fame very
But this
well.
is super big, and I honestly think this is super big for Kelly because he's so hot right now.
She doesn't need anything, but she's
I know. I don't know.
Filmmaking's like a hobby for her.
No. I know. But I'm saying like this is gonna be like a really hot movie because of Josh.
Movie.
Yeah,
it's gonna be I'm
well,
not saying like
here's the
she
thing.
needs it, but like in terms of like that's a big name. Like I know,
yeah, I mean it doesn't hurt,
names,
obviously.
I don't know.
It's also like the thing is like the like La Camera, a movie that like is not, you know, like some big box office success or whatever, like some huge movie. I saw a tweet yesterday. The movie across the country is still playing in some theaters 6 months after release. There are theaters still showing La Camera right now, and there are people like I saw a tweet of people lined up waiting to be let into the theater. And you guys haven't seen the movie, but in the movie there's this red string that the character has, and there's people lined up outside of showing of La Camera 6 months after it came out, and it's a line of people all holding the red string from the movie. And I'm like, this movie would not have, like, you know what I mean? This is like such a small movie, and it just has like such a strong army behind it, and it's like that's that kind of like, you know, indie like army like thing that would be like cool for like a Kelly Reichardt movie. It's like obviously like Doug said, like Kelly Reichardt exists outside of like Hollywood. Like she's not she's not here to make like Hollywood pictures, but it's like but it certainly doesn't hurt if one of her movies starring Josh O'Connor develops this huge following and plays in theaters for 5 months after it releases. You know what I mean? Like in art theaters all across the country.
The movie doing really well is only, you know, it's only going to help whatever she wants to do next. So
it's awesome.
I think the fact that Josh obviously, you know, is, you know, working with whatever, you know, it's like not like he's asking for a lot or anything. He's like, I want to work for you because I think you're an amazing director, and I think this is going to be a great project. Be in this great project. I mean, that's great because I think he is at the top of, you know, in terms of like name right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm very firmly like after La Camera, I just like got so on board with Josh O'Connor. Like Josh O'Connor has become after like this year that he's had between Challengers and La Camera has become just like easily one of my favorite actors working already. But like people have heard me talk about somebody like Paul Mescal as like my favorite rising actor. It's like you put Josh O'Connor in a Kelly Reichardt movie, like this movie comes out, the lines are going to start to get blurred. You know what I mean? Like Josh O'Connor might be top dog. Like that might be how much I like him, you know? Like it's like I love this guy. Like he's fucking awesome.
Wow.
Like he's so cool. Like it's like he's making a Kelly Reichardt movie after working with Luca and making La Camera. Like it's like how do you
well, this goes back to remember when we did our Challengers pod and you were like, if you could only follow either Josh O'Connor's career or Mike Feist's career,
and I said Josh O'Connor,
and and I also said Josh O'Connor, even though I like Mike Feist more as an actor, because I'm like Josh O'Connor's going to be in more.
He's just going to make the coolest
He's
decisions.
he's hungry. He's hungry.
Yeah, like he's like a guy
Mike Feist
who like
could just
wants
quit
to do it.
Hollywood.
Mike Feist don't give a fuck. Mike Feist don't give a fuck. Bro.
He likes fucking being on Broadway more than movies anyway. Like
Mike Feist don't give a fuck.
But Josh O'Connor is like a dude who wants to make interesting decisions. Like he wants to be in these movies.
He should be in a James Benning movie.
That's an idea. We can, you know.
James Benning does have a new movie coming out, doesn't he? Or did it already come out?
I don't know if it's. I mean, I played a festival. I don't know if it's like. I'm not sure.
Out. Yeah. Anyway, this is super exciting as a Kelly Reichardt fan. This is like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, no, it's
The
huge.
movie's gonna fucking rock. And the
Also,
subject matter, like we didn't even really
yeah,
talk about the plot of the
I
movie,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was
like
gonna say. When I was like crazy, I was like, that plot
yeah,
sounds
it's fucking
crazy.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I talked about it on my TikTok, but like she has this like short film, Travis, that is like kind of about war. It's like about a mom like grieving her son who she lost in the war. So like it's like there's definitely like the seeds there that like something like
Yeah.
Vietnam War as a backdrop for her would be like something that she's interested in.
Mhm.
And then also like it is it's funny as like a selling point to be like this is an art heist movie because it's like anybody
Oh, no, I think it's so funny.
who has seen Night Moves, like it's like you could tell like a regular person like, oh, this is like a heist movie, like this is like a bunch of like people like doing
Yeah,
like a heist, and like and then you watch Night Moves and it's like, you know, the movie's not exciting. Like
No,
it's like the
describing
ultimate
First
climax
Cow.
is like
Yeah,
so
it's
tiny.
like describing
like,
First Cow as a western.
yeah,
It's
like
like
it's
yeah,
all
it
very
takes place in the American West, and that's like
yeah,
that's where
but
that ends. You know,
it's just it's funny. It's funny because I hope that like it draws people in that way because it's like Josh O'Connor and like an art heist movie, and then they
Yeah.
show up and it's just like, and the heist is gonna be like the tiniest little thing, or maybe not. Who's to say? But like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
what if
the
there's
heist
fucking
is him-
guns and there's burnings and
oh yeah. No, what if it's literally like Ocean's 11?
Yeah,
What if
I
it's
know,
like she goes
right?
like
Like, how
full
he makes
Soderbergh?
it's like yeah. She
I don't
goes
know.
full
I'm just
Berg.
saying it's
Well,
it's
she
the
also
plot.
like she deals
Yeah.
with such microscopic budgets as well.
Right.
that- yeah.
But
Well, that's the
but
other,
just
that's
like
the other thing is it's like with Josh, and not that she even wants the budget, but I think when you add talent like that, your budget does inflate a little if you so decide.
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And I mean,
So,
it's like she doesn't need to make her movie
She
any bigger,
could get
but
more money with Josh O'Connor as the
it's like
lead.
she doesn't need
Yes.
she doesn't need to make her
Yeah.
movie any bigger, but money doesn't hurt, right? So
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. Next piece of news. Ridley Scott reveals he's already developing an idea for Gladiator 3.
I think this guy's a liar. Can I say
Let's
that?
fucking
This
go.
guy's a
He's not
liar.
lying. He just won't be here. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like he could be. He's like developing. He's developing.
What if he
it
really
in the
believes
same way.
he's going to live forever?
What if Gladiator 3 ties into?
He's like, yeah, I got Gladiator
Covenant
2, and then I
2.
have Bomb coming out, and after
And then
Bomb,
I
I have
have
like 3
the-
or 4 movies.
What's that?
lined
What
up.
I almost said something crazy. What's the what's that movie called? The Bee Gees movie.
Oh yeah, the
Bee Gees.
he has-
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he has
The
so
fucking Bee Gees movie.
the Bomb. He has Bomb, the Bee Gees movie, and Gladiator 3. That
Yep.
have presumably none of these
Remind us
movies
how
have
old
been
he
made
is
yet.
again?
Like
84.
90,
Okay.
84.
84.
Okay. I mean, that's, you know, that's
So those are
He-
3 movies.
he
Oh
could
wait, no, he's
die any
86.
day.
He's got 10 he's got 10 years in
He's
him.
86.
Oh, he's got 8 years in him. He's
86
got
is so old.
a movie every
How-
2 years.
so-
A movie
he's
every
so
2
old.
years.
He seems like, listen, he wears it well. He's like a healthy old.
Yeah.
That's what
but-
I'm saying
yeah,
about
he is
Cameron.
out.
But here's the
right?
thing. Here's the thing. You don't.
But that
you
could
don't-
change quick.
You don't hear Martin
Oh,
Scorsese
yeah,
say
I
he
know.
has 3 movies lined up. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
taking that
kind
shit
of
one at a time.
Marty has like 2 movies lined up.
Yeah, but
well, that
But
he
he doesn't
does.
talk
Actually,
about it. He doesn't
you're
just
right. He
like-
does have 2
Marty
movies lined
kind of
up.
does.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
Okay.
like, I
You
got
know
this
what?
Jesus movie,
Yeah.
and I got this boat movie,
Wait,
and
wait.
maybe I'll do
A lot of-
this.
I
and-
didn't include it in the news, but lots of talk about Jesus movies in the news.
Oh yeah, the sequel.
Yeah, the sequel. Jesus is coming back.
He's back, baby.
But that's not included here. But the
Damn.
if you know you know type of thing.
No Mel Gibson on this episode, ladies and gents.
We'll split up the movie news with some TV news because
Oh my God.
but we'll run through it. One part of it is that you know, and you guys didn't watch this, so it
Jesus
doesn't matter.
Cinematic Universe.
But the
Oh.
Emmys happened, and you know, we don't have to do a full thing about the Emmys, but Shogun sets a
Mm.
record for 18 wins for a season of a drama show. And then The Bear and Hacks kind of battled it out in the comedy categories, and Hacks ended up getting a bunch of surprise wins, including the biggest award, the Best Comedy Series award, which was totally leading into the Emmys unexpected. People thought it would be The Bear sweeping as it has in you know, since it started. And then Hacks just kind of came out of nowhere and stole a few from The Bear.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not familiar with Hacks either.
Really? So Hacks has actually been recommended to me by multiple people, and as a result, I finally watched the first episode like a few weeks ago, and I was like, I could get into this. And then it won all those Emmys over The Bear, and I was like, maybe I should get into this. So I think I'm gonna keep watching it.
I'm not
but,
too big of a fan when people recommend me Hacks. I'm not.
What do you mean?
Oh, that's every day, buddy. Every day
I'm just
people
like,
are
I'm
like,
trying
you
to
should watch
watch.
this, you should watch that. And it's like,
I'm
hack,
like
hack,
watch
hack,
a good
hack.
movie. It's like
Yeah.
all these
okay.
hacks get recommended to me.
All right.
I'm like,
all right.
I don't want to watch
All
any
right.
hacks.
Good joke. Good
I don't-
joke. All right.
I'm more into,
Anyway, yeah, people have told me that it's good, and now these kind of surprise wins coming out of nowhere have maybe made
hacks
it a little bit
often
more
do win.
worthwhile.
So.
Yeah. Cool
Hacks will
for
win
that
our
show.
award season.
Any opinions about the Shogun record?
Yeah, I do have a take. Not a take. It's a question.
Sure.
Is the Emmys like a fake award show with a ton of fake awards? Because how do you win 18 awards?
Yeah,
Like-
so there's a pre-Emmys night, like a week before the Emmys. They have like a night for like technical Emmys because they can't fit them all into the show.
Right.
And so Shogun kind of dominated in those categories when it came to like set design and makeup and stuff like this, the kind of like big stuff from like a big budget show. Like something like a Game of Thrones would win because it's just so massive compared to like all its competition that it would
like,
just
big budget,
yeah. And it's just going to be a show that looks better because every episode costs like $40 million or whatever the fuck they spend on that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's still a record. That's still pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that movie, that show is so mainstream.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I talked to my dentist about it as well. Remember, I brought up my dentist.
My grandfather's 80th birthday yesterday, and I don't know how it got brought up, but Shogun was brought up at the table.
The book. Okay, well,
everybody drop a happy birthday in the comments, by the way.
Like the book Shogun is a really big deal. It's an old ass book.
Thick book.
Yeah.
Thick book. I saw it at Barnes and Noble. I was like, God damn, that was.
But
was the book supposed to just? It was the first season because originally it was a limited series, right?
The first season covered the whole book. Yeah,
oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure.
It's a big fucking book, dude. I've seen that. That is isn't it only like 6 episodes or how long is the first season? It's like
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you watched it or you started it. No, you started it, right? But you didn't.
Yeah, I watched part of the first episode.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
It's 10 episodes. Okay, never mind. It could fit the book. I thought it was in my head. I thought it was only 6 episodes. I was like, that's a thick book to do in 6 episodes, but 10 is a little bit more manageable. Anyway, the other piece of TV news is, we could kind of gloss over this stuff because I know you guys don't really care about any of it. Industry gets renewed for season 4 after a hit season 3. Black Mirror season 7. They say it'll be 6 episodes, 2 of which are going to be feature length, movie length episodes,
and 6 of it which will be bad.
One of them is going to be
and one of them will be called The Substance.
Episode. And then they confirmed like a bunch of big names in the cast. I don't think you guys care about most of these people.
Paul Giamatti.
The only one maybe is Paul Giamatti.
PG.
But there's some other big names like Issa Rae, Awkwafina, Emma Corrin.
There's some other big names. Awkwafina.
Well, she's like famous.
Maybe it's a long
some of these other people. Some of these other people are smaller actors. And then the final piece of TV news is that Richard Gadd, the writer and star of Baby Reindeer, has signed a first look deal with Netflix to develop a new scripted series. So all 3 of those things are kind of bunched together. If any of those things pique your interest, I'm assuming nothing now. Okay, and then we move on. I'm assuming this only piques Doug's interest, but Terrifier 4 is in the works. Probably Terrifier 3, as of this recording, comes out in just a few weeks. They've confirmed that Terrifier 4 will follow it up.
Yeah. I would be shocked if a Terrifier 4 wasn't in the works, to be honest. Yeah. Just because we have friends that saw Terrifier 3.
We have friends
at the world premiere. I believe it was the world premiere at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah.
Is that the world? Oh, it is the world premiere. Yeah.
Yeah. From what I could tell, all of them except for one of them, one person that we know that saw it disliked it.
Yeah, but didn't they just like the previous ones?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's it feels like it's one of those cases of like if you like the last ones, you'll like the new one, and it's just gonna keep going like that. It's like if you didn't like the other ones, you probably won't like this one type of deal.
Yeah.
If you lived in a farm, you might be a horse,
Sure. That's a
okay.
Marty Supreme adds multiple people to the cast.
Odessa
Azion, Tyler the Creator, and Kevin O'Leary, otherwise known as Mr. Wonderful on
Mr. Wonderful. Oh, Timothy Chalamet cut his hair.
Who?
That's not real. That's not
Timothy
real.
Chalamet.
That's not
What do you mean it's
real.
not
Oh.
real?
That's not
He's
real.
bald, you mean?
What do you mean it's not real?
I mean, that's not real. I saw that picture. That was
No,
fake.
no, that's a fake. The photo you saw was fake.
Okay.
But that photo was a meme in reference to.
But
the
there's
fact that
reports that he cut his hair.
I saw him.
Is
Oh.
Marty Reisman
He's
bald?
not bald. Well, the thing is, Timothy Chalamet was at fuck, I don't know what it was. He was at a screening maybe with other actors. It might have been a Dune screening or something. But he had a hat on, and his hair
Yeah.
was really short.
He's
So
wearing
people,
a hat.
so
So
people
people have
didn't know. Well, obviously his
inferred.
hair is long, right? His hair's normally long, so
Yeah.
it is short, but they don't know what it looks like yet. But it is
Oh.
for Marty Supreme.
Yeah, because it starts filming like next week, doesn't it? Or
Yeah,
did it
so
start already?
he did cut his hair for that.
I'm
It is
gonna
at the
be
it was at
honest,
Dune 2,
you
Dune Part
cannot
2
tell
Q&A.
whether or not he cut his hair.
Bro, it
in
is
this
so short
picture.
in that hat.
He's wearing a hat.
no,
What do you mean it's so short?
no,
in
it's
the
cut.
hat?
It's cut. It's cut. It's cut.
He's wearing a hat.
No,
How do you feel about the cast additions though? Tyler the Creator,
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Wonderful, Odessa Azion, who I don't think we've seen in anything. I mean, she's like in stuff, but I don't think you guys have
Yeah,
watched
no,
any.
I think Tyler's fun for movies. I think like it makes sense, and I think he's been like one of those guys where I've been like the
It's
transition
crazy.
is
So
it feels like it's was supposed to happen like 10 years ago.
yeah, well, Loiter Squad was a thing like
Exactly.
15 years ago, and it's
Exactly.
interesting how none of those guys transitioned from Loiter
Well,
Squad.
that one
into
guy, I think
movies.
Yeah.
Taco was in some stuff.
Taco was in the TV show.
He was in
TV
Dave.
shows. Yeah, Dave. He was in Dave. I know about that. But it's like none of those guys.
Well, what
like,
do you, I mean,
most of
what's
the
his name?
guys-
No, the dude is. You guys are forgetting the one guy's in the Bear. He's like a main character in the Bear.
Who?
Lionel Boyce.
Oh, he's in the. I didn't know that. I don't watch the Bear.
He's like one of the main. He was one of the main guys in the Bear.
I think I saw that.
He's actually like fully gone into
on Twitter.
acting. Yeah.
But yeah, no, but I mean, Tyler as being like
He's nominated
this big
for an Emmy.
this big personality and you know all this and kind of really famous. It makes sense for him to do this, and I think a Safdie's project is a great role for him.
Fuck it, Ghetto Sweatshirt in the Safdie movie too. They go all in, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful. So this is gonna be his acting debut, I believe.
Good for Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
like, what the
He'd be
fuck?
acting on that show.
Sure, yeah.
He'd be
yeah.
acting up. I'll tell you that.
Everybody acts on that show. Yeah.
Let's get Cuban in the bitch.
That'd
Let's
be
get
cool.
Cuban. Mark Cuban. Would you guys vote Mark Cuban for president?
Oh my god, we had this conversation off pod already. Don't do this shit again. My ass is not voting for Mark Cuban, bro.
But you're gonna vote for Kamala?
Unconfirmed.
I mean, I'd rather Mark. I mean, Mark Cuban can run Twitter, right? It's like I don't know what the fucking country.
Yeah.
is.
My favorite
moving
my
on.
favorite Mark Cuban quote is just him rambling on about how much he loves capitalism.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Well,
like again, he's a
capitalism made him a
billionaire.
lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I wouldn't not vote for Mark Cuban. You know, I'd have to see what his campaign looks like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
How much is
movie.
Luca involved in this campaign? Yeah.
Yeah. How much Luca in the campaign?
When you said Luca, I thought you meant Luca Guadagnino. And I was
No,
like,
he's
what?
talking
No, you're talking about Luka Doncic. Yeah.
It's like his first day as president, he officially declares that the Dallas Mavericks are now America's team instead of the Cowboys. It's just like
it's kind of odd. It's like because they feel like almost Europeans team.
Europea's team.
Europea's team. The Dallas Mavericks, Europea's team.
A lot of basketball talk this pod. I mean, that's not uncommon for us, but definitely more than multiple references to basketball this pod.
Keep them coming.
Next piece of news: Adria Arjona to star in an executive-produced action horror thriller Onslaught from director Adam Wingard.
Yes, sir.
A24 will be behind the project.
Cool. Get that fucking guy away from those action figures. God damn it.
No more King Kong, Adam. We got real
no,
movies
no,
to
no.
we got
No
real
more
movies to
kaiju,
make.
Adam. Put
You guys
down
seen that
the
movie, The
action
Guest?
figures.
People really like The Guest, don't they?
No, I haven't seen it.
No, I'm a big Death Note fan though.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've seen
People
You're
do like The
Next.
Guest a lot. Yeah.
I've seen You're Next.
No,
which
yeah,
people also really
The
Adam
like.
Guest is a
Wingard-
little bit of a cult classic.
Adam
Yeah.
Wingard is a very cult classic, like not underground, but
Yeah.
like I guess underappreciated director that people do have like. He has a fan base for sure,
Mhm.
but he has been attached to some not great projects. I know people really hype really
Yo,
really
get
hates
that
is
bag, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
people
if he
really
got the bag and he's just gonna go
people
right back to
the
it,
the
then that's
common
fine.
like Adam Wingard fan thing is like I love all his movies, but that Blair Witch movie that he did, I
Right.
think
Oh yeah.
people even Adam Wingard fans don't like that movie. But for him to do something that's not a Godzilla movie, I think is
Yeah.
awesome. I think this movie is gonna be good. It's gonna be like one of those like it's gonna be a super like strong like three and a half 3-star banger that it's like that movie rocked.
Have you
Awesome.
seen like interviews with him like on like the Godzilla like press tours? It's
No.
just funny. He's just like, yeah, man. It's like, yeah, it's like they're fighting and stuff. It's like,
I mean, I could totally respect that. Like, if it really is, if it's
Yeah.
just like so clearly like guy getting money so that he could go back and make his horror movies, then that's cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
fine.
and he's incredibly talented.
and he probably learned. That's the other thing that I think people don't bring up enough when
That
smaller
you learn
filmmaker
stuff. Yeah.
makes big blockbuster. You learn stuff.
Yeah.
You're it's
Yeah,
like you're using
I mean,
technology that you don't have
you
access
learn
to.
stuff with every job. But it is that thing like even Barry Jenkins talked about it with Mufasa. It's like you've never worked with that much like stuff. Like you just never worked with that
Exactly.
much money or that much
Yeah.
whatever. So
Or
you're
like those kinds of
going,
craftspeople. Yeah,
no.
like
You've never been in that position in your life, and the movie itself might not be great. It might not be a hit. It might not be your best work, whatever.
mhm.
But you're going to be a different filmmaker after it. You're just going to.
Yeah.
Even I
Yeah.
like to think about James Wan doing Aquaman and that being such a big movie, and him returning to the smaller movies, but learning something and taking something from that experience. James Wan, happens to have made good movies while doing it, but not always the case. But I think
Yeah.
it is always important to look at some of these kind of things as like a good learning experience for a director, because that's not really allowed to happen anymore. Directors are kind of like kind of shoved into it. It's like you make this movie, and if it's fucking garbage, we might never hear from you again. But
Mhm.
back in the day, I'm saying like 90 years ago, dudes just pumped shit out. They were making movies, and you learned so much from that. And you kind of get the chance and the opportunity to become a good director. Where
There's
now
this
it's like
idea
you
where
get
the
like 3 movies and you're fucking done. You're never
yeah,
hearing from you again. And
it's this idea that it's difficult for the contemporary director to get good
yeah.
because you don't have the opportunity to get good. You're not making enough
You
movies.
don't have a chance. You don't fucking chance. It's
Yeah, you
like
don't have a chance.
you struck gold. You get lucky. You make a really great movie, and obviously there's a lot put into that. And some people are just not great. Some people are not cut out for it. Some people are. But if you're not, but maybe you're promising, right? But you don't get the chance to work and learn and because
Because you
people
make
learn a
like
lot
3
from.
movies in 9 years or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it's like I think about Richard Kelly, right? Who a lot of people really love, right? But some people don't, But he only made like fucking 3 movies, and then he was like, never can make a movie again, basically. And it's like maybe if he made fucking 3 more movies, people would have liked those movies more, But you never get the chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the game. That's the game.
Speaking of directors using new tools, 28 years later was reportedly filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max with attachments. It will be the
Yeah, with
biggest
a
film
fucking big
ever shot on an
attachment.
iPhone. Or on a
Cool.
phone, I guess.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
iPhone.
brother.
Cool. I think
Um,
you know what? People are like, "Oh, this is cool." I will say though, it's neat. It's neat. If Danny Boyle was really fucking about that life, he would have shot this on video. He would have gone back to that shitty fucking video recorder they shot the
Yeah.
first one on.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair. But I
Um,
do respect it as like a decision that's trying
yeah,
to
yeah,
capture
yeah,
the
yeah.
vibe of like the original. I
Well,
think that's
yeah.
a cool idea, and I'm glad that he's doing something like that. Like,
Obviously not a one
It's
for one, not the same thing, but I think about when M Night was doing Knock at the Cabin and just using different cameras because it almost feels like a lot of times we have a standard camera. We have a standard like this is how we're shooting movies because this is the new thing. This is the new camera. This is the new this is the highest tech. This is the the best quality camera, right? But there there was a texture and there was a older cameras have a specific look to them and a lot of times we're not making decisions on stuff like that. We're just kind of like this is the newest tech, this is the newest whatever, right? Rather than like making a decision, I want to shoot on this camera because it will look this way. Or and obviously there are that there are decisions being made like that, but it's not like as strong as something like I'm not using like the broken cameras or even like an iPhone like Soderbergh or something like that. Making really strong decisions on like what tech you're using and why you're using it rather than like this is just this is just the camera I'm going to use, right?
Mm-hmm. You should have a relationship with. That's why it's art, right? It's
Yeah.
like because you should have a relationship with your tools, relationship with your paintbrushes, right? Because
Mhm.
like if you didn't have that relationship, then you would just be like, yeah, I want to shoot on red 8K, right? And then that's it. And then it's like, and it's
it's like, or it's like the fucking like Netflix thing, where it's like these are the Netflix cameras and these are the cameras we're using, and it's like it's like I'm just okay. I guess I'm using this camera, or whatever. It takes away the kind of that artistry of it, I guess.
yeah. It's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Listen, Danny Boyle, like
One
important
of Doug's favorite
filmmaker.
filmmakers.
Yeah,
making
he's like one of those like
again.
he's like one of those like hit or miss guys, but like that you have to respect. Like he's like one of those
he's
guys
a
where like
working man. He's a working.
he's made some absolute stinkers, but like you have to kind of respect.
Haven't we all?
Like it's like
Well, because that's the thing. He's made so many movies, right?
Yeah.
He works.
But he's had the chance to
you
make
know,
those
Garland.
movies.
Garland back on the script. Garland back in the writer's chair.
Yeah, put
doing
down the camera,
doing what
Alex.
he kind of does best, maybe.
Definitely what he does best, because he spent most of his life writing books.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. I don't know. I think all the things, all of the ingredients are there for this to be like a sequel that's actually good and fun, which is cool. I'm still kind of waiting to see a trailer before I find out like what the fucking Cillian Murphy involvement is, because it's going to be like a little bit annoying if it's just like quite literally like Marvel cameo type stuff, or if he's like, because my understanding is that he's like fifth build in the movie, and that he's not going to be a huge part of the movie. Like he's showing up, but he's not the main character. So I'm worried that he's just going to show up just as like a kind of like, oh, this is connected, and like it's like for the fan, like a fan service type thing, and not as like a how can we utilize this guy, like this guy's like 5 days on set to like do something cool with it. But we'll find out about that later. Last piece of news. Large theater chains plan to invest over $2.2 billion to upgrade over 21,000 movie screens. Sound, dining, projection, and seating experiences will be upgrading. Some theaters will add pickleball, zip lines, bowling alleys, and more as entertainment options.
So I was at the AMC 2 days ago, like local AMC, and the one in Boston, and I've been to other AMCs where they have the arcade machines out, right? But this theater never had them, and they like did some like weird renovation where they put them out. And I was just thinking about this article about the kind of like Chuck E. Cheeseification, like Disney Worlding the fucking like amusement park ass theater, making it like a resort to get people to fucking give them money so they don't go underground. But it does feel like it feels gloomy, and it feels like, damn, this is gonna like kill theaters in a way of like they're gonna put a lot of money into it, and it's the return is not gonna be there. And
I have
it's
an
like
opinion that is like both a little positive and a little negative, which is like, so the AMC I go to, like the one that I frequently attend is a mall. Like it's like one of the biggest malls in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't affect the theater. So it's like whether the you know what I mean? Like it's like they could put these things just in a big mall and it doesn't change what's in the theater. So I don't know that stuff necessarily is going to like totally affect it. I do worry about it as an investment strategy if it's worth spending billions
where are they going to fit
pickleball
on.
Yeah, like and more so what I worry about
thing to invest in.
The thing that I'm a little pessimistic about that concerns me more than like the idea of these things existing in the same space, because ultimately I don't think that like I said, like it's just a fucking mall. It's just a big mall, and it's like that's fine. Like I already go to a mall to see my movies anyway. But what concerns me is that like it kind of sets up like more room for bad theater behavior. I feel like the theater etiquette is already being pushed in the wrong direction, and now you have people who are like treating this as a place where it's like not just a movie theater.
Like, I'm
and, like,
trying to eat my McDonald's, and the movies
become less of like it's like the movies become less of like a movie, and it's like now you got kids running around, and all of a sudden more kids are like sneaking into screens,
Yeah,
making
with their
noise, like
fucking
more
fingers up
people
their
like
Yeah,
texting and
nose.
throw
talking during the movie because they're fucking talking about the pickleball game they just played.
walking out of the zone of interest and seeing some fucking kids playing pickleball, like
Yeah, it's like it
and
does.
zip lining. Like,
That's the most concerning part of this to me is just that I
Dude,
feel
kid
as though
fucking domes you off these zip lines. You come out of the
I just
sad movie, you're
yeah,
fucking down.
it
Dude,
just makes
knees
you
you in the head coming out of the flying on the zip line.
it's
I
like
will
making it
say,
too at home, which is the problem. Like you don't want theaters to feel like home because that's
Yeah,
already
you
what's
want it to
causing
feel
the bad
like
theater etiquette to begin with.
I will
jail.
accept. I'll make a deal with whatever these
I'll
chains
make
are
a deal with
specifically.
Mr. AMC.
I'll
With
make
Mr.
it.
Wonderful.
I'll make a deal, okay? I will accept your pickleball and zip lines if you get rid of these fucking shitty ass, old ass, archaic fucking bulb projectors in every fucking AMC theater.
Well,
It's crazy.
part of this
It's
said
an
Not
projection.
happening.
It
Yeah,
does
it's
no, it said part of
expensive.
this is upgrading projection.
It's
So
so expensive, but it's like they got to get rid of these bulb projectors, bro. They got to get rid of them. They got to upgrade the laser. It's like
Some of them do.
no,
yeah.
some of them do, yeah. At the Alamo, right? The Alamo Draft House,
No, but
which
even some
has its own
AMCs have
problem.
laser.
No, yeah,
But it's
some,
like
but like they're marked
it's
specifically.
yeah,
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 but
yeah,
like
yeah.
in every Alamo has only laser. It's like they don't have bulbs anymore because the thing about bulbs, it's not even like bad, right? But the thing about bulb is like the bulbs get old and then you have to replace them and then they're not replacing them, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to replace the bulbs on laser. Just like
Speaking of the Alamo, I got some beef with you
Speaking
guys.
with the Alamo.
You know when
oh.
you know how like as you
As
age,
you age,
your home starts to transform, you know what I mean? Like you're like driving around your town and all of a sudden like something that used to look one way looks another way and it like kind of makes you sad because it's like this is
yeah,
not
we had this
like
old
yeah.
football. There was a field. It was a dirt field, and in kindergarten, I would play football there. And now there's a bunch of houses on the
Yeah.
field.
And it just like kind of makes you sad a little, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
damn, like it's like this is just a natural like progression of things, but also it's like it feels wrong almost.
Mhm.
And I will say there was a theater. If you're a North Jersey local,
yeah. North,
there's a
shout
theater.
out North Jersey,
Yeah,
stand up.
there's a theater in Sea Caucus that I grew up going to. It was my favorite theater that I grew up going to. It was called Karasotes. So
Mhm.
if you're from around here, you know exactly what theater I'm talking about.
Oh,
The other day, I was looking to check if there were show times at Karasotes for something. I haven't been there in years now because it's just kind of out of the way for me. But I was looking to check if there was show times there, and they were bought out by Alamo. And
damn.
it's no longer called Karasotes. I was looking for it on the app, and then I saw the Alamo like show place. It said Alamo show place 12 instead of Karasotes show place 12, and I was like, wait a second. And then I clicked on it, and it brought me to the same place on the map where Karasotes was, and I was like, that's fucking mean, dude.
Yeah.
I was like,
We
that's
had
not
this
my theater
theater.
anymore,
We
bro.
had
That makes me so sad. Like,
they had a flagship cinemas near me, and there was it was a theater, and it was I went to apply for a job there, and then a few months later, they got bought out, and I feel like you walked in there to go for the job interview, and it felt like it was done. Like it felt like
yeah,
everyone was like ready to fucking go. Like there was no one there. And then they got bought out, but they got bought out as like a storage fucking place. Like they basically the theater became like a place to fucking just put shit in. Like it was
That's
just
depressing as
it's
fuck.
so like they yeah, dude. So now it's like an apocalyptic thing. And really,
yeah.
it still is
It's
there, and
just
it still
like,
has the flagship cinema like logo on it, but inside it's just storage.
yeah, it's just sad. I don't know. It just made me feel bad. It's like it's kind of like because it was like already an established brand, but it's like in the same way where like one brand gets established with something that you just hate so much more. It's like watching a Barnes and Noble get converted to an Amazon Books. You know, it's like Barnes and Noble is a brand, but like you want to like you're fine with a Barnes and Noble being around you, but like can you imagine if your local Barnes and Noble got turned into the Amazon bookstore? All of a sudden, it's like damn, that place is fucking evil. Like
That's
that's what
crazy. Amazon Books is nuts. Is
that's.
that real?
Yeah, you don't know what? You don't know about this?
We don't have those here
Oh,
in
Amazon book.
Omaha.
Wait, they only really have them in malls around me, but like soon enough, like Amazon Books is going to be the only bookseller, and it's going to be really bleak. Like it's like Amazon is already just because of like their internet sales is already the like number one bookseller. It's already overtaken Barnes and Noble as the number one bookseller in the country,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and like it's just over, dude. Like the mall already has places that are just like Amazon bookstores around me, and there's still Barnes and Nobles around me. Like I go to Barnes and Noble all the time, but yeah, at some point it's gonna get bleak, dude. It's just gonna be Amazon bookstores everywhere, man, and that shit's evil. And that's what I mean. It's like that. It's like Carasodi's was already like kind of an established chain, but like just doesn't feel the same, man. It's just fucked up. Anyway,
Yeah. Shout out
um,
Alamo Draft House though.
yeah, no, it seems cool. I mean, I'll go there now that it's an out. You know, I'll see how it's changed. Maybe it's the same. Maybe nothing has really changed. But
Well, no, the Alamo
yeah,
is kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. I don't have much hope about that. I feel like I'm gonna go there and it's gonna make me sad.
Nice theater though. Nice
um,
theater. I wish
yeah.
you didn't serve food and have people walk
I
in
wish
front of
this
me.
fucking guy wouldn't stop talking to me. I don't
Yeah, like I wish.
fucking...
Hey,
No.
hey, sister.
I've never been to one, by the way. They've
Oh,
never had
man.
one. They've never had one near
Literally,
me until this
bro,
one now.
literally, the trailer for Zone of Interest is playing. I don't know why I keep saying Zone of Interest. The trailer for Zone of Interest is playing. Right? I'm the guy that works at the Alamo. Hey, have you been here at the Alamo Draft House before? Okay, so here's the deal, right? You lift up your order card, right? If you need anything. Can I get you started for anything? Oh yeah, do you have a card to swipe? Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Yep, milkshake? Milkshake. Okay. Yeah, yeah, so the refill on the popcorn is free. You just need to raise the order card if you need anything else, okay? I'll be right back. And then
Like
in
when
the
you go,
background,
it's like when you go to Buffalo Wild
and
Wings
then
on a
like
Tuesday and they ask you if you're familiar with the deals.
yeah, and then
Like,
the
have you
guy
been here
next to
before?
you,
Do you know what
the
happens
guy
on
next to
Tuesdays?
you, right? The fucking guy next to you gets his fucking hamburger, and it's like this big, and he's like,
and then 15 minutes before the movie ends, the fucking waiter flies by and he's like, last call, last call. He fucking like flies by. He's like,
no,
last.
you're watching the guy in the zone of interest, right? Like it's like the big board. It's like, whoa, what's going on, right? And this is fucking guy wearing like I can't get political, but like this fucking guy is in front of you. This big guy that's like, last call. You need anything else? Do you want to order another milkshake before we close up shop? And it's like there's Nazis on my screen, like dealing with what they've done. You know,
Dealing with what they've done.
you know, or, like I'm like, come on, dude.
Come
Yeah.
on,
That's my
dude.
beef with Alamo Draft House. It's like nobody wants this.
You know,
Nobody
that's-
wants you to bring a fucking double IPA over to my chair. Some people do, I guess. I don't.
Yeah,
Some people are into that.
seems like fair beef.
But also the theaters are nice. You know. Yeah.
Okay.
We're off the
We're
rails, Polly.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up there because the
What was this
Chiefs
pod
game
about?
starts in 1 minute and I have a parlay to place. So you
Did
can
Jerome
join us.
Ford score? No.
No, he did not. You could join us in 2 weeks. I think we mentioned this last week's episode, but we'll mention it again here at the end. No episode next week if you're listening to this.
You should run down the October schedule, I think, for the people. I think they would be excited.
Okay,
Don't do it,
that's
don't do
an
it, don't do
idea. The problem is that
Don't
like
do
a
it,
lot
don't
of
do
that
it.
stuff is not confirmed to be.
Doug's always
part
trying
of
to
the
make
October-
promises. that
Yeah,
we
Doug
really
Doug
can't
loves to
keep.
make promises. No, we're not going to run the October schedule, but what I will say
Big
is
stuff
that
is
next
happening
week,
though.
next week, no episode. The week after, when you come back, episode 86 will be the Megalopolis episode that you've all been waiting for. So none of us next week. Sorry about that. We're going to be at New York Film Festival, but you'll see us soon. So we'll see you in 2
The
weeks.
definitive Megalopolis episode.
Yeah, the definitive one. We'll see you later.
It's the one. It's the one.
Bye.